Mr. Merlin again.
Yes, so to add on about the chat moderation, not necessarily from a staff point of view, but a simple question. Why is somebody able to drop the full N-word? All the letters, no numbers, no weird stuff, the full word without it automatically blurring or getting removed.
The
Why is there
automatic
no chat filter?
the chat filter is something that I've seen since we released, and it's something that I've been forwarding to the developer. I'm not sure what the current status on it is, but it is something that we're aware of.
Is it not as simple as going to just go on an open source, check what they have, add your own list of words in it, which you don't want on your server,
We don't
add these
use
other variations?
we don't use open source mods like that. Everything's custom coded. And if it was a simple fix that Fam could do, because I'm pretty sure he's looked into this already like multiple times. If it was a simple fix for him to do, then it of course would have been fixed already easily, 100%.
May I
But
ask what's the added value of having a custom coded chat filter when there's already tons of like open source which you can like take the parts you like, remove the parts you don't like, and just implement it like even today?
I mean, I can't speak for like the other Cosmic servers, but I don't know like if that's something that like we've ever used like a public mod like that for like chat moderation. Like that's something I can definitely mention to the team as like a temporary solution.
Okay,
But yeah,
okay, that was my question. Thank you.
alrighty. So I just write down a note. So of course I have closed down request to speak real quick because I want to go over at this point the potential trophy changes for this map. So of course this is something we of course did a poll the other day about to see like what the general thoughts would be on just at least doing something to trophies, but essentially wanting to get your guys' thoughts on this. So we would essentially be adding trophies and not just trophy points, but trophies that accumulate points into like various loot tables, such as like heroic and mythic chests, Koth, and bosses. And this way, this would allow islands to be able to catch up with some of the top islands, as well give you guys something else to grind other than just the weekly trophy challenges, which we know have been a pain at times. So we'd like to hear you guys' thoughts on kind of introducing more trophy drops, even this season, or even if it's like you don't think it should be this season, it should be next season. Like just your general thoughts on like adding more locations that you can obtain trophies from. And with that, I will go ahead and open up the stage.
Okay. The main point I want to ask about that because I've played a few other servers that have implemented kind of the same thing. Would you be able to sell those items,
Would you be
or
able to
would they
sell
be, would those be island locked or like player locked to their island?
So those wouldn't necessarily be something that we can easily like lock to a player. Like if it drops from an adventure chest, then that player like he'd have to redeem it on some island, of course. So if we block it from being traded and whatnot, he can always just be invited to someone's island. And then just as if he was a member on that island before he got the trophy, he'd be able to just redeem the trophy on that island. Like someone pays him, he joins their island, claims a trophy, and then yeah. So there isn't really easy ways I can foresee of us preventing players from selling them, but would you think that they should be like not be able to be sold?
I f- I feel like that would be, I don't know, I think that would just have a very big influx in the market because top islands are going to pay whatever for those. They're not going to care if you're charging 20 times more than what it's worth. Uh, it's they're going to want it. So I don't know. I feel like because then that would focus people like top islands to have to run adventure for that fact. Because if not, they can just sit on the island, grind their challenges out, and then just pay people to get them trophies.
Gotcha. Written those Definitely written those notes down. Any other notes you'd say, or
That's all.
ready? Bring up the next. Invited you up to speak.
Hello. So basically, like I wanted to say what I think about the trophies being introduced in different loot tables. I think that first of all they shouldn't be sellable, like the previous person said, because that just makes it so that like the top islands can just pay to win. Because I guarantee people will pay a lot of PayPal for it, and it just makes the map whoever has the most money wins. Like it's not even about playing the game anymore. And at the same time, I don't think it should be in the Cthulhu table because what ends up happening, like for example, what happened this map was every single island just merged into the top five, and then it was basically them just competing with each other. There's no other competition, and obviously, the more people you have, the easier it is to contest Koth. So it's gonna be very unrealistic for someone that wants to try and, like, for example, go from top 10 to top 5 to be able to comp Koth. But the top islands, like the top 3 maybe, or top 2 even, will be permanently getting like Koth and stuff. I think it should be added in the adventure loot table and maybe perhaps in the treasure like it was before. But yeah.
I mean, in a sense, like, of course, player count is a really big factor in terms of who can capture Koth, but it also comes down to like your PvP skills and ability. If you've got like a 10-man group and there's 15 men capping the Koth, and you're just so much better at PvP than them, then there is a chance that you can overpower them depending on what type of Koth it is and depending on the gear differences between the two of your groups. So even if
Yeah.
it's only like between like the top 5 like islands and alliances, then that would still encourage there to be a lot more PvP and interactions in Koth because islands would need to be like these top 5 islands would need to be competing for that trophy because they know how much of an advantage that gives them.
Yeah, I understand that. But what about what I said about them being in the treasure loot table and adventure table, like in general? Not only myth or only mythic and heroic, like you said, but every chest.
Well,
Of course, very rarely, but still.
they'd have to be extremely rare. I mean, we would ideally only have them from like the heroic and mythic chests is what we've got like kind of outlined right now. And then as for treasure loot tables, the issue I see with that potentially is, of course, top islands will get to the point where, of course, they can buy out all the other island upgrades or trophy upgrades, not trophy, um, treasure upgrades from other players.
Yeah, I understand that as well. Anyways, that's all I wanted to say.
Okay. Well, thank you for the notes. And yeah. Memento. All right, we got Tristan. Been invited to speak. Hello, hello.
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 Yeah. I think it's a good idea to add trophies to adventure loot tables personally. Um. Also, I was just wondering, like, are there any changes to PvP for next map, and like, what's changing for next map to make us want to play again?
Well, I mean, we're mainly talking about trophies right now, but on the topic of PvP, of course, like the entirety of adventures are being looked at and tweaked based off of your guys' suggestions, and then also like given like an extra like cosmic flair on top of what we're planning on tweaking. So there's definitely going to be like a new like PvP like meta, not necessarily PvP meta, but like a different different PvP, a different way to PvP compared to how it is right now. I'd say.
Yeah. What about damage for certain armor? Have you guys looked into that?
Damage to armor. We did recently just add in a lot more statistics on like what is dealing damage, what is negating damage, and that is something that we are like looking into, and it is something that if we can make changes, if we have enough data before map number 3, then we're going to see what
Yeah.
changes we can make.
I,
But that would all
I
be
don't know.
outlined closer to the release.
I don't know if you guys like watch like people's content, but if you watch like some diamond fights, like you get an idea of like how bad the damage is.
Yeah, and that's what we've added the statistics for, so we can see that on the back end and see like what is actually doing the damage.
Yeah, right.
But yeah,
Cheers.
all right, have a good. All right, Mr. Kyle Morgan, invited up.
Hello.
But
I mean, my opinion on this, I guess, trophy change is then I feel like we also need some change on the trophies in the island, because otherwise people are just gonna be running adventure, and people who don't run adventure, say like myself, who like to grind island now, it's like it feels like there is nothing else there in a way, and it's only now you have to run adventure just to get the top island. You know what I mean?
so like you're saying you don't want the changes to devalue the value that you put in on the islands.
Exactly, and or finding another way with find another way with trophies on the island. Like, I don't know, yeah, but add in some sort of trophy update to the island as well, not just adventure. Because there's people that don't like PvP and PvE, and I also feel like you have the top islands, say, who do have the numbers, which I don't know if you're going to address, but it doesn't matter how many people have. But if you have 10 people on one island running in an adventure, you have no chance of getting these chests, you know. And it's still then the top islands are still going to run away because they're going to be able to run these chests, you know.
Mhm.
That's my thought anyway, because I feel like then, yeah, it's still going to be like, I feel like there should be something as well, island based upgrades, update on the trophies, whether it's like, if you're hitting farming melons, and the more melons you farm, it'll give you like one trophy. You farm 1 million, it gives you like 0.1 in an hour, and then, you know, another million, 0.2, something like that, you know, where it increases or something, an incentive to farm also on the island.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just my thought anyway.
Yeah, all your guys' thoughts I'm noting down, and I'm gonna like present all these thoughts to the team before like any final like decision is made, and then I'll see if there's like a new poll we need to make even before any decision is made after that. But yeah, I appreciate all the thoughts we're getting from you guys.
Yeah, because I just feel like it's just adventure, and then yeah, you are then ignoring the people that don't run adventure, and you want people that want to just grind the island, you know, or do, you know, skyblock stuff and automation and, you know, farming and this and that.
Mhm. Yeah.
But yeah.
All right, well, thank you. All right, Mr. Jonah.
Yo. So like my first concern, I don't know if it was go over easy, but like I feel like you should limit people to only being able to join one island, you know? Not being like in 10 different islands, just like being able to share that loot, you know?
Mhm. What do you mean by that? Like,
I feel like you shouldn't be able to join more than one island. Like if you leave an island, yes, you can join another island, but like, you can't be in more than one island at a time. Besides your own, of course.
as much as like I see what you're trying to say with making people only be able to join one island on top of like your own island,
Yeah.
but that there would still be people who could bypass that by just setting up permission blocks on an alt island, which wouldn't require them to actually be a member of the island, but they can still virtually do everything on the island.
Yeah, but it would still make it harder for people to do it. It'd be more annoying. It'd prevent some people from doing it, but not all. But like, I feel like it should be implemented still. I mean, why not? What's the harm in it? It only come.
Well, we do have players who like their groups are like that large, who have like different islands for different like adventure
Yeah,
drop chests and whatnot.
That's where merging islands comes in. Thing merging islands is really like stupid in my opinion. I mean, eventually, at the end, you'll merge islands. So
Definitely interesting note. But yeah, I mean, there is like if you're only able to join one island, I'd say that removes a lot of like the like ability for newer players to like expand out and like get new experiences with different players, especially if they have multiple friends, like a group of 5 friends, they all have their own islands and they're all like sharing their islands, playing with each other on their islands, and there's a reason that you're able to join multiple islands right now.
gotcha.
Yeah, and I'll just add to it the whole thing around merging and whatnot. Like it's not just Sky, like it was other game modes as well, PvP, prisons. Like we can implement these little rules. It's really not going to fix the quote unquote problem that you're mentioning. Like players are going to find ways around it. They're going to have alts. They're going to have account shares. They're going to do the different things that are still going to be accomplishing it. Sure, does it make it a little bit harder? Sure, but it's not going to fix the issue. Like it's more for us as a team. It's more important to kind of focus on the other issues than to try to fix something that's potentially never going to get fixed. So
Gotcha. And one more thought, just like why not make outposts better? You know, like on PvP, outposts for everything. The first outpost was easily the best one, and it was so much fun to PvP constantly there. On Sky, it's like, you don't give a fuck about that outpost. It's like whatever.
I mean, the main
I feel
reason
like
for implementing the stone outpost on Sky is because the chain adventure was made like lawful, so players wouldn't really have an opportunity to PvP in their chain sets without there being a chain Koth, which is why we added the outpost. Like, give
yeah,
players
but
a risk inventory area to fight with their chain sets.
eventually, yeah, I get that though. All right, that's all. Quick drops, kill yourself.
he forgot the in game.
See that. Deal with him after this. So yeah. So, just real quick, if anyone else has any other notes about the trophy changes I mentioned, if you guys want to raise your hand now, I will be closing the request shortly for being able to talk about the trophy changes, and then from there, I'll take all the notes I was able to get and then bring those to the team, and then for the rest of the Q&A, we can kind of go over any other notes that we notes or questions you guys have for us. On that note, I'll invite Quick Drops up. Hello, hello.
Sorry, I did not hear anything you just said, but I wanted to comment more on the trophies. Is that good?
Yep, that's what we're here for.
Yeah, so in my opinion, it's a bit late in the season to make that change. But I do think it only makes sense to have trophies available through like PvE and PvP, as long as they come with like an expiration date. Maybe when you get the item, it would only last 12 to 48 hours per se, so that no one can hoard them, and also it like maybe would somewhat prevent selling them in bulk. I feel like that this season's IS top is basically set in stone already at this point, and that any change is not really going to change the outcome. But I do hope that this isn't like the sole focus for trophies long term. Obviously, I feel like the island level trophy challenges are effective, but the weekly challenges are way more frustrating and a pain point for most of the players. I do think one like common suggestion lately in the suggestions have been a value system of sorts and bringing that back. And I think that maybe one of those with fewer restrictions on spawners and bots and maybe even island size would probably better represent actual like island rankings. And yeah, that's all.
Gotcha. Yeah. So we're definitely looking like, of course, we know weekly trophy challenges aren't in a good spot right now. They haven't been. And essentially, like, if there's something we can find that's a better solution to those weekly trophy challenges, which still allows players to be earning these trophies throughout the map, then if we can find a better system than the weekly trophy challenges, then I mean we'd be down to just not have the weekly trophy challenges, but it's just filling that void so that players aren't just reliant on the island level trophy challenges. So whoever gets the top level first, oh, they just win the season. Like there still needs to be those drops of trophies essentially.
I see. Okay.
Alrighty. Alrighty. The last call for anyone who wants to join in the request to speak after this next person. I will be closing the queue. Alrighty, Mr. Crashing. Oh, hello.
Hello, yeah. So I had two quick questions. So like more on what the last guy said. Can you not just make it to where like overall spawner value and nodes are like the island level for like IS top?
We've definitely done that in the past. I wouldn't say like we're not gonna do that for this map. We're not gonna make it so those are like factors since they haven't been factors since the start. And even if we do add them as factors, trophy points are still going to have like the main like priority over like any sort of value or island level. Because of course,
Okay.
trophy points have been like the main thing we've advertised as this is what wins you IS top number 1. If we add in the value of your island, then at the end of the season, like we've had in the past, it literally just comes down to which islands merge to have the most value, or which island places the most cobblestone nodes on your island. Yeah, who remembers that?
Yeah.
But
Okay.
yeah,
And then one more thing, with it being in heroic and mythic chest, if you
Mhm.
guys make it to where it's like soul bound to a person's island or even like a expiration date, I feel like it should just be like when you open up the chest, you kind of get the 50 points for the island. Because I know that there's a lot of people who don't care about trophies, and if you were to open up a mythic chest and just get trophy points when you really don't care about them and they're only available for your island, that would be kind of like annoying. So maybe like whenever you open up the chest, it just automatically puts those trophy points on the island.
so it wouldn't be trophy points that drop from these chests or from Koth or from any other loot table. It would be an actual like recurring trophy which generates points on your island. So they would be decently rare drops. We would like control how many drop a day, but they
Uh,
would be like actual like trophies which gain you islands throughout the entirety of the map.
So it wouldn't be like where it's like you get like 250 points from this. It would be like a note where you'd get recurring points every hour.
It wouldn't be a note, it would be a physical like island trophy. Like it would look like the trophy block, and you
Oh,
stand on
okay.
the island you want to redeem it on, you right click it, and then that island will then earn however many trophies that island trophy dictates to be earned an hour for the rest of the season. So there's that. And then in terms of like adding an expiration date so players don't hold on to these, of course, because they start generating points as soon as they're claimed, it's something that they're going to want to be selling, and it's going to be like the players are going to want to claim them, of course, as soon as they possibly can.
Yeah.
But
All right.
in terms of like automatically claiming them when you open the chest, the issue with that is there's no real way to like set which island it goes to. So say I'm a member of Crit's island and I'm grinding and I get one of these trophies. If I get it and it applies to my island, well, that doesn't do the main island I play on any good because I'm not Crit, so it doesn't apply to Crit's island, you know?
You can't set something to where like you select what island is like your like main island or something.
There's no way to do that right now.
All right. I don't think I have anything else then. Thank you.
Alrighty. Turn off requests for now. And Zenith. Welcome up.
Okay, I had just a quick thought from what the other guy said about like rewarding island grinding. Thought a thought of maybe adding an attribute that was like not rare, like the 1% gem pick, like not in something that rare, but like, adding an attribute that maybe like has a very slight chance to proc like a trophy gain.
Proc a trophy gain. Do you mean like it'll randomly earn you like +1 trophy point, or like
Yeah, something like that. Like randomly, let's say like I don't know, you've been farming skeletons all day or something, and you could get trophies for that, and maybe that would like incentivize more island grinding and stuff like that. And then like even like public warps, people would want to focus doing those instead of keeping their island so private, because that's a really big thing with top islands. Like they're trying to gatekeep everything from their island because and no matter if you like block off a box and everything, everyone knows people have like free cam and stuff like that. So they would have to maybe have more precautions and stuff like that, but it would like incentivize stuff like that.
so I wouldn't say an attribute would probably be the best way about going about that. Something that I've heard from a suggestion, I believe, is how we previously had like every hour or weekly, like if you were on like a certain top leaderboard and you're like your island got the most island EXP within the past hour or day or week, then your island would earn a certain amount of island points. And then converting that into instead of island points, it gives a certain amount of trophy points. That would, of course, reward those top islands who are putting in the most effort, putting in the most grind, or even if it's just like non-members who are on island grinding. If they get that island to be like #1 in island EXP, that island gets those trophy points for that hour, week, day. And then of course, like it wouldn't be like a recurring trophy; it would be like a static trophy point. But
Yeah, I mean, well, yeah, that makes more sense too. I just thought like attribute was the first thing that came to mind, but I feel like something like that would it would definitely help um just like the overall like communication with people and everything because more people would want to go certain places. And I feel like that would help out.
yeah, it's just with an attribute, I just see there being too much reliance on RNG, and it would have to be too overpowered of an
Well,
attribute to actually be able to make a difference. Like if it procs like once every 100 farms and it gives you 1 point, at the end of the map, if players have like 100,000 trophy points, then how many trophy points like can you really expect for one player to get from one attribute? I think.
yeah, I feel like that's fair because I know everyone spent their fair share of time getting a stone pickaxe, and if you didn't get a boss socket, you threw it away.
Mhm.
So I feel like yeah, that would be a good change. Adding something like that for uh just the island XP just to promote that, I feel like would be a really good change.
Yeah, or as Sweet Booty just said in the chat, like instead of the weekly trophy challenges being a challenge you have to complete, those are weekly trophy mobs where if a skeleton is selected for the week, then you have a chance when killing a skeleton to get a trophy point. So if you focus all your resources on skeletons for that week, then you have a chance to be earning static trophy points from those skeletons.
Yeah, I think that would be very good. But I think the only change that people might not like is if top islands, or like not top islands, but like more like mediocre islands that have like they have people to go for IS top. Like my island, this map, we went for IS top, but then one of the challenges came up and we were gonna lose. We would have to take like a $200 million cut, and so we decided just to stop going for it. But I feel like if you guys were to do that, and let's say it's like everyone's on piglins right now, and you were like, "Oh, you gotta go farm cows," it would be people taking a very big like cut. So I feel like there might be a little like discussion there, like people not wanting because it's again it's the taking a cut in island for money or for trophies. I mean, but I feel like that would be a good idea. Yeah, like, it is a good trade off. I mean, if this really just depends what you're going for. On a good scale, I feel like it would be very beneficial.
It could also be a case of like almost like randomizing it. So like every X hours, the event happens for 1 hour, and like random skills are selected. So oh, I've got 1 hour to grind as many rabbits as I can to try to get trophy points during this hour. And then maybe even it counts which islands earn the most trophy points, gives them a bonus on the trophy points.
Yeah, I think that could be good. Just have it like 3 times a day, like friendly for people, all people's time zones, and then just make it like just a different mob, and then it just announces like before it's about to happen, give time people to prepare, and then they'll just have that hour to get all of that done, and then that would focus more because like someone just said, you could make it fishing, um, you can like make it stuff like that to more focus because I know a lot of people stopped farming because it was good, but then grinding still became really good and no one really fished too much. So I feel like you guys could do something there that could really be really good change.
Yeah, we'll definitely see, but definitely some interesting thoughts going on there.
Yep. All right. Well, thank you.
Oh, thank you, thank you. My name is Mr. QT. You want to come up to stage, Mr. QT? Hello. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Unfortunate. Okay, hockey guys, you're up.
All right, hey guys. So I do like the change that you guys are saying with the accumulating trophies, but I think it needs to be like very strongly recommended that you can't sell the item. Like I know you were saying earlier that there's no way to apply it to like an island, but if it's any item or anything that's in the economy and can be sold, like it will be sold and bought. Um, and I think if there's a way that even if you guys have to like start over, I don't know what you guys have already, but even if you have to start over and make it either like an account or island based thing, you should do it. And then the other thing as well was if you implement something like that random. Say you do the 3 times a day. It's whatever the goal is. Like it has to be in a way where you can't stockpile because I played with Unhappy and anyone on the top 3-4 islands know like basically all we were doing was just getting as much as possible of every single item that the second that weeklies came out. We could just instantly turn them in, and then it was just like a rat race to who could finish first.
Yeah, like,
So I think those are like the 2 parameters that like need to be addressed.
yeah, you're talking about that system you were just talking about where like it would randomly select skills every hour or a few hours and whatnot. You only have an hour to do it. Or are you talking about something different?
Yeah, I mean that works, but it can't be like a submission based thing, right?
Yeah, it would be based off of like specific tasks. So if it's like slay 100 or slay skeletons for a chance to earn trophy points, then you're not turning in those drops from skeletons. It's just every time you slay a skeleton, you have a % chance to get +1 trophy point. And then your
Yeah.
island can hard focus skeletons for the rest of that hour. Like get as many people on as you can, get all your dire rotations, and just start slaying skeletons, fishing fish or whatnot, and just trying to get as many of those as you can during that hour, because of course those will stay on your balance until the end of the season. But also you get extra bonus if you are the top island who did the most of those tasks. It's almost like the perfect sales or like the contests of the old Sky, where okay, this is the contest. Whoever does the most of it gets a specific point. Except while you're doing the task, the skill, you have a chance to get trophy points as well while you're doing it.
Yeah, I got you. But going back to that first point, I guess my suggestion would have been like, say you're attaining these trophies, like you want to put it in a loot table, whatever. It's an item, it's placeable. I don't know how you guys have just designed it, but say it's like a chance you get it from a loot table. I don't think it should be like an item because it can be sold. Like, say you get something good, you just TP out instantly, right? Like you don't really have a big window to try and get it from people. And in my head, this is all happening like in adventure. But if it's an item, like you can just sell the item. And then if it's not like attached to an island, like if it's not like say you right click it like a recipe, then anyone can just sell the item to whoever.
Well, it would
And
be a case of you right click the trophy, like once you're on, like if you want to give that trophy to your friend's island because that's the main island who's like you're grinding on, then you just go to his island as a member, right click it, and then you redeem that trophy on his island. But then that does still open the door to, hey, instead of redeeming it on my friend's island, why don't I just go and sell this trophy instead and make XYZ money from it? Which is what I guess the issue is in your eyes, yeah. And like a
that's
lot
what
of
I think the problem is. I understand there's an incentive to do that, obviously, but and I didn't play like Hypixel, so I don't know how cell binding works, but if that's what you guys are saying in chat, like that definitely would be a better idea. If it's like auto claim too, then you can't sell it, and then it also reduces rotating. Like you can't just like for instance, like all the top islands had people grinding adventure as like a PvP group, and then there was the island group that were grinding, right? And so since they could just grind adventure not on the island, they could just give all their stuff and you could just rotate them, right? Or just drop it in a chest. Like I think if there's a way it's auto claimed, then it would negate that. And that would help with rotating and like the roster issues.
Yeah, it almost seems like the best solution would be like if you're a member of XYZ island, then you have to run a command to like specifically say like that is my main island. And then if you're grinding an adventure and you happen to open a chest with one of these, then instead of giving you that as an item, it'll give you like huge visual effects, particle effects saying you just found a trophy. This trophy has been redeemed to your home island, which is this island owner. So that way it's not given as like a physical item. It's specifically applied to your selected item or island.
Yeah, I agree with that. And I think that would be a toggle. The thing with the toggle is like if you toggle it off, then you can still just there shouldn't be a way to like save them. Like it should automatically get claimed whether it's your island or someone else's island, but it shouldn't be like you have to be able to pick like before you enter like adventure, right?
Yeah, like if you're not going for top island, then all that's going to do is just fuel top islands and make it so whichever top island can pay the most for these trophies will be the winner at the end of the season, and that ruins the point of other islands trying to go in adventures if they know that every other trophy that drops for XYZ random new is just going to be bought by the number 2 island. They're going to be number 1 at the end of the season.
Exactly. And then if there was a way, maybe you could say it gives you the trophy, but then it also gives you something that benefits the account. Like, you know how like in Scav, like your account gets upgraded, like your Scav is better the more you get. Like if you could do that, then there's still an incentive to say you're not on a top island and you know you're not competitive, like say you're solo, like you still get something from them.
I think we're going into a bit of a different path there than trophies, but I see what you're saying.
I just think like if you're like a solo and you get a trophy and you know you're not on a main island and you can't transfer it, it's kind of useless. Like no one really cares if they're number 100 or 101, you know. But it still should give them some benefit for their time.
I see it, yeah.
But that's it. So
Well, thank you for those notes, and yeah, thank you. Next up, Mr. Boom. Hello.
Hello, Paul.
Hello.
Just one question. With the XP challenges or level challenges this map, they were rather tedious because we got hard locked like 3 times. Is there any plans to change those?
You're talking about like island levels?
Yeah.
So I mentioned this earlier, but yeah, we see like the progression of this map and island levels is just not where we want it to be. And we're looking to introduce like potentially multiple different ways of like not necessarily controlling, but like making sure that island levels don't get to the point where they got this map, but for next map.
Okay.
But yeah,
And
it is
then
definitely something that's going to be addressed. It's not
thoughts
there.
on like the skills, I think would be a good idea to fix the imbias in terms of how many people are slaying and farming compared to mining and fishing. Like I can't remember who said it, I think it was Carl. The idea behind you gaining points, like the more skills you gain on something would be a good idea.
So not like if something's selected for an hour, but you're talking about like if you do
Like yeah,
a lot
like
of
if you had diamond nodes, like mining 100,000 diamond nodes gives you a certain amount of points. Mining 1,000,000 diamond nodes gives you a certain amount of points. There's actually incentive to mine and fish, even if the XP is not as good.
Gotcha, yeah. Ready? Any other notes?
Nah, that's good.
All right, thank you. Got Tristan Yaya. You've been invited to come up. Here we go. Hello. If you're trying to talk, your microphone is not working. I'll give you you ask your question in chat. I mean, prefer if you could voice, but if you can't fix your mic in like less than 30 seconds, go ahead and type it in chat. But yeah, while you type it out, I'm gonna just get the next person in here, and then I'll answer your question after this. And please unmute your other Discord from the server. Okay, yeah, you can ask your other question in the chat, and I'll come back to you after I get this next person. Alrighty, Tristan.
Hello. Nah, don't get that guy back. It's radio, man. He's impersonating me. I'll be honest. I put my hand up so long ago. I completely forgot what I was gonna say. But I just wanted to like talk about like the restrictions of bots and stuff.
Okay.
Like I just think the bot restrictions are a bit annoying. Like how like where I don't know where it is, but you can place barely any bots. You need second islands. Like you guys complain about people joining other islands, but it's like forced on us because we need other islands for more bots. Like you can't mine everything on one island. Like fishing is slow because of fishing bots. Like everything is basically fucked because we can't place enough bots. And we said this last map, and the same like bot limit is like still here.
We did increase the bot limit, I think, a little bit by like an extra 2 bots for this map, but
I know,
the
but
main
I
thing
think
with bots is that I think in the past we had like limits like 50, 60 bots on an island back in like the very end of Sky. But the thing is, with as many servers as we can have on like peak like times, like if we have a map that has like 1,000, 2,000 players, if all those 2,000 players have like 100 plus bots on your island, then to put it bluntly, the server will not be able to handle it essentially, as
well,
far
they're
as I'm aware
buffed.
at least.
Would the server not handle if they were buffed?
You said if they were buffed?
Yeah, would the server still not handle that?
Yeah, so that's the next point I was going to make. Like, would it be potentially a better solution in that case, instead of increasing the amount of bots you can place on an island, instead to make the limited amount of bots you can place on an island more worthwhile and more
Yeah,
beneficial to place,
because
more efficient?
people keep complaining that people join other islands, but it's kind of forced onto us. Like you can't have bots getting money, XP, coal all at the same time. Like you need other islands, and then we also have to get gold. Like there's it's impossible to do on one island. It's just a bit annoying. I also wanted to say I like the idea of the whole like uh trophy point thing. Like every week a mob or something gives points or a fish. It sounds like a pretty good idea rather than the weekly challenges.
Would you say that's a better idea than adding it into loot tables?
Uh, I mean, I'm fine with both, but yeah, I think that's a better idea.
Mhm.
As
Yeah,
long
we'll see.
as
I mean,
like you try to keep it slightly relevant, like not fully relevant, but also not like chickens 4 weeks in, you know? Like at least put it to something slightly relevant.
yeah, I mean, ideally it would be like completely randomized, so it's like they of course have a less chance to be something super irrelevant, but also
Yeah.
like would make players have to like jump the gun, like not be able to like
Yeah,
expect or anticipate what it would be.
yeah, definitely. It should be like that, yeah.
Like it was Spiders last hour. Surprise again! It's Spiders again. Just completely
Yeah.
random like that, but yeah.
Yeah, I think that's a better idea than weeklies. I also don't like the whole fishing system you guys did this map.
The aspect of like catching multiple fish with one rod.
Nah, just the fact that you have to manually fish like so much more than we did last map. I just personally I don't think it's a good idea, but I don't know about everyone else.
If fishing was made like more worthwhile, more valuable, would that still just be a pain to have to like knowing
I
you
mean,
have to fish?
if it was worthwhile, then no, I wouldn't mind it. But it's almost like we only fish to unlock the next fish, and it's like
Mhm.
I feel like other than Admiral Fish Pie, that's the only reason we fish. And even with Admiral Fish Pie, you just do that with auto fishes.
But yeah, if fishing actually became like very valuable for you and your island group, would you say
Yeah,
that
then it would
that
be
would be
fine.
something
Yeah.
that players wouldn't they wouldn't just QQ like, oh wow, no, I have to fish. I don't want to fish. Like it's not just like a boring overall core skill. It's just that there's no value in it right now for manually doing it.
Yeah, exactly. Other than the weeklies and unlocking the next fish, I feel like there's no point of manually fishing. It's just painful.
Okay. Definitely interesting though, because yeah, that is part of like the
Also, I got another question about KO. Like the PvP, there is not much PvP because like KO's permanent timer. Like I know
Mhm.
if you added timers to KO, more people would go into KO, and if you added better loot as well.
Yeah.
Like I know for a fact I'll do a run into KO tomorrow if it was better loot and timers.
Yeah, that is
Like at
something.
least give the if people have the chance of getting out of KO, like they would go into KO more often.
Yeah, it's definitely a bit different because we don't have, of course, a lawful status, but that is something I have written down to look into for potentially this map or next map, but definitely something we are going to look into.
All right, thanks.
Yep. Alrighty. Let's see. Did that plain Discord profile picture ever answer your question or ask a question? Mic isn't working. No, I don't think you did ask a question. Nope. Okay. Well, let's get the next person up. Okay. Yeah. Mr. Rass.
Hello. Well, he kind of just stole one of the things that I was gonna ask for, but the other thing that I was gonna ask for is, are you ever changing back Iron and Diamond, for instance, to have a lawful around like lawful and KO? Because right now, people genuinely cannot progress, and with that, it means that the server dies after chain.
So you're asking if we're ever going to bring back Lawful to Iron.
Yeah, and
And
Diamond.
One sec.
Oh, I got ghosted. Okay. Oh.
Sorry, just all this talking gets my throat a little bit worked up. So that is a topic up for discussion right now amongst the team. What I guess are your thoughts, and I guess the rest of the chat's thoughts on if Lawful wasn't necessarily brought back to those, but other changes were made to make it more, not necessarily more valuable, but more like almost more safe to grind neutral almost.
The thing is, most people don't actually want to be a part of the PvPing part. They just want to sit around and grind. And they want to be able to actually make a set to tank, stuff like that. Like a lot of people just want to have the feeling of playing the game without scav, because for them, they don't like scav because they don't actually build their sets. Even though I love scav. But most people do want to just make a set and just grind. Even not KO, just lawful. They're fine with the reduced loot and whatever. It's just that they want to grind without being disturbed or chased 24/7 by like 7 people.
Yep. So even back in the day when adventures were lawful, of course we had the lawful zone around spawn where their PvP was completely disabled. But then other than that, if you left that PvP disabled zone, you entered a PvP enabled zone and you wouldn't go chaotic. Like you had the toggle. So you couldn't physically hit another player, but chaotic and neutral players could still. I don't think chaotic players could hit you.
I mean, yeah. For instance, if I'm honest, the chain system right now would be fine implemented with a KO zone, where you needed to actually sit and turn KO as opposed to just run in KO, because then it can also block people from walking in at mid being lawful, for instance, and turning KO. Because a lot of the people also have the issue of, oh wow, I can go into KO and then by a mistake and then die and then I'm mad and stuff like that. But then if you just put a wall or like some type of barrier for lawful players to enter the KO zone, then it would be better for them. It would mean they would never really. There's no reason for KO people to be able to damage lawful players.
Yeah, like if I recall correctly from the old version of Adventures, I'm pretty sure there was a toggle where you physically couldn't, if you were lawful, you couldn't get hit by like a chaotic player towards the end there. Like if you were neutral, you could get hit. If you were chaotic, you could get hit. But lawful, no.
If I'm yeah, no, that was a thing in the lawful zone, which was like 50 blocks away from the safe zone.
That's what I'm thinking of. Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, if that was maybe everywhere, that would be fine, because then you have neutral and lawful, neutral and KO people fighting each other, and then you just have lawful people just watching. But as long as neutral and KO people cannot kill the lawful people, people won't have that much of an issue with it. Because at the end of the day, I remember a ton of people just constantly killing lawful players as KO just to put them on timers or just to be annoying.
Well, the lawful timer was always, I think it was like 2-3 minutes because of that.
Yeah, but you constantly spam it. Yeah.
I get that. Yeah. I guess with the current system of it being neutral, of course, you do lose, as it is right now, half of your inventory, but you don't lose your gear or your sword unless, of course, someone knocks you KO, which would still be like a threat if it was a lawful adventure. They could still like kite you and hit you KO if you were close enough. But
It's mostly the
what I
time
guess would
spent, I
be
assume. That
the what now?
the time spent, for instance, the 15 minutes that you have to actually wait in case you die, the time it will take to actually grind and then probably lose some of the stuff that you grinded to just go back and grind the same stuff. That's also part of the reason why people just don't want to grind iron and diamond. Like, there are obviously some people that still try to, but with diamond it's better because diamond has 0 damage unless you're in like actual bleed and stuff. But besides that, it's kind of like people just don't want to go in iron right now, no matter how good it is. Even people would still rather do scav in iron, and like people genuinely stay in iron scav than go diamond neutral, which is supposed to be the higher tier adventure even.
Gotcha. So say if you were neutral and there was some way to like be able to take items out of an adventure during an adventure run, so you can like save those items almost and then continue on with your adventure run, would that kind of solve the problem of like I just went in for like 30 minutes and lost all the items I gained? Like if there was some way to like almost like transfer items back to your island, or would that still like be the issue? It would still be an issue almost because like, of course, it probably couldn't be like an instant thing, but
people I think some people would think it's good, but some people would not like just the fact that they still get like are in the part of the PvP. Like there are the people that just want to sit there and grind, and the people that actually want to PvP just to PvP. Like a ton of people would rather just not ever see a player and be able to damage them or be damaged from the player. That's a huge thing about a lot of the players that do scav.
okay.
Yeah, like Apex said, it's nice just to not have to worry about players at all. If you like, it's more of a chill experience than anything, because then you just grind, and that's the part of the fun. But then if you have to constantly worry about some guy just going behind you and killing you, it would be like kind of annoying just to realize that, oh wow, I was grinding and then suddenly there's 5 people behind me chasing me.
But if I recall correctly from what Epic said, it's like that could still happen in a lawful adventure sort of scenario. It's just you wouldn't lose any items.
I mean,
but
yeah.
you could still die and like lose like any like.
The thing is, you don't really need to actually make it so lawful players can damage chaotic players, or like lawful players. You can just make it where lawful players cannot damage anyone whatsoever.
Yeah, like there was a specific toggle that lawful
Yeah.
players had enabled by default, because I remember those kids who came in naked just to make you accidentally kill them. Oh, now I'm KO. Oh, they killed me. Right set.
Yeah, and
We all
the
remember
way to go KO, for instance, for Chain right now, I don't know if that's the best case, but let's say Iron, the only way to go in like KO is to actually walk into the KO zone, and that like that's the only way to go KO, and that's the only way to actually fight a neutral person that goes out. And if you add the KO timers, or like the timers or whatever that it was, 5-minute things, then you suddenly transition slowly to lawful.
I believe players also became KO if they were like neutral and they killed a lawful player, if I recall correctly.
Yeah, if
But,
yeah, but I think this all would get fixed sudden if just simply lawful players cannot damage any player unless they become neutral or KO.
Yeah, definitely a lot of good notes there, and of course it is like all part of like the major thing that we are going to be changing with adventures and.
Yep.
Yeah,
I
but
do
we
have one more question.
Okay.
Who is Tony? He is a cosmic administrator. I have never seen that person.
He is a person in the Discord.
No comment. Move on.
Okay. Okay, fine. I'm out. Peace.
Alrighty, have a good one. Imagine not knowing who that is. Wow. Don't tell him. Okay, Mr. 5Kill, welcome up. Hello, hello.
Finally. I have a couple of things. First thing, is there any, like, what's it called? Is there any plans on bringing back Cosmic Client? I'm like, it's, like, way out of the scope of this conversation, but I'm just asking.
I'd say there's a lot of new like customization options that like people can do with like resource packs in this newest version of Minecraft. In terms of bringing back the old Cosmic client, that would require it being like fully updated and like ported to the newest version of Minecraft and any like future version we do update to in the future. But I that's not necessarily on our books for right now. But I mean, all I can say is who knows what the future holds.
Because my problem is there's not really an anti-cheat, and people can just like grinding on the islands, let's say, you can just put on an auto clicker. Like I'm sure I know it's like illegal to do that, but like it's really hard to catch someone. And then there's other clients, and there's no way to detect that. And I'm pretty sure recently someone got caught with chest ESP, and with the adventure stuff, like chest ESP would also be harmful for that. Like a general hacking sense should be
I mean,
lowered.
it really depends on what the player is trying to use. Of course, things like chest ESP is not something that like is easily mitigated. Like, of course, if they have Cosmic Client, they don't have the chest ESP mod. Like, nothing can certainly stop them from putting on like an X-ray resource pack. So there's some things we can't super mitigate, but things such as like blatantly using an auto clicker, blatantly cheating is something we are able to like detect and ban for. In terms of the actual anti-cheat, it is something that I have brought up and we are looking into. I can't say whether or not for sure we're going to have like a specific change for map number 3, but if there is, that'll definitely be in the patch notes. But I have seen all the threads and all the notes about like the anti-cheat and the whole situation of like accusing players of cheating, and it is something that we are trying to get to the bottom of.
All right, so the next two things, to make people more like do other adventures and people like keep sets for iron and other stuff. What the earlier suggestion was about having our weekly or hourly stuff, like this mob gives you trophies. Why can't it be like iron adventure this week? It will give you trophies and stuff, but diamond won't, and it's random.
The thing about adventures as well, it would require some sort of system where you dictate which island is your main island, and that's the island that contributes like if you like for say kill an adventure mob and you have a chance to get a trophy is what I'm assuming you're trying to say there, but
No,
like it would
I'm trying to say like to incentivize people to do other adventures other than just chain or diamond all the time. Like, why not it be like at some hour, you get this X amount of stuff from this adventure.
yes, like 1 hour would have like during the next hour, if you kill like you have a chance to get a trophy point from killing mobs in the Lost Wasteland, and then that would encourage
Yeah.
people to go to the Lost Wasteland.
Yes, exactly.
So-
Because people just
yes.
don't have other sets or don't want to PvP any other way.
So yeah, so again, the thing with that is there would have to be a way to like say, hey, I am contributing towards this island and have all the trophy points go towards that island, because those points would be like automatically redeemed to your account if you didn't have like a main island selected. But like adding like the different adventures and maybe even like I don't really know too many other areas we could add, but like yeah, like saying like for the next hour you can get trophy points from XYZ adventure is like an interesting thing you could add on to the thing we were talking about earlier. Yeah.
Yeah, but can't it be like the highest level island you're on automatically gets it?
Well, say you're on 2 high level islands, but one of them is just an island that you don't mean to be a part of, or like a player could always bring up a report and say, "Hey, I earned 50 trophy points towards this island, but I meant to earn it towards this one." In that case, there wouldn't be anything we could do, and the player would just leave feeling like he just wasted his time. So there need to be a clear way to say, "Hey, I am grinding towards X island," and then all the trophy points that you gain from that sort of like limited time event would go to that X island.
For that, you can just like realm portals. There could be scavenger portals or adventure portals on each island. If you go into that island's portal, it will give that island the trophies.
I'm not sure how we could really relate
That could
portals to
also
that, but I see.
that could also incentivize like other people, randoms, to go in like top islands portal for X amount of money they get paid or whatever.
So you're saying a player would enter an adventure through a top island, and then they would be grinding
Yeah,
for
like,
that island? That would
and that incentivizes like I don't know how it would play out, but it's an option, I guess.
definitely interesting, I'd say. Yeah.
Yeah, that's all. Thank you.
Alrighty, thank you.
Thank you.
Alrighty, the random. Light it up.
Okay. Hello. Yeah. So I have a question about, is there some issue with having more ways of getting non-recurring trophy points rather than the current recurring ones? Because the current system is very snowbally in terms of ISTOP. Like you get a gap on somebody and you just keep gaining a lead over and over for like until they also get the same trophy points.
So of course we did have like static trophy point notes dropping in the loot tables last map. After looking at what stats we did have from last map, those static trophy points just didn't end up making a difference. So for this map, we were more focusing on like the straight trophies that just give points and just giving those out, which is why we removed them all from the loot tables. Definitely part of this whole trophy overhaul, like I was mentioning earlier, like the potential of like maybe still getting like a static trophy point, but from like different methods. Like there's still options like that that are up in the air, but in terms of like why they were removed, it just wasn't beneficial. It wasn't difference making for ISTOP last map.
Yeah. No. As in, I guess the question is more, why didn't you just buff the numbers on those and like make weeklies flat trophy points instead of, just in going on with this system where you have to get things first or it's over for you,
If they're at a point where they're too overpowered, and this is where it kind of like draws a gray line, but if those static trophy points are too overpowered, then it can get to a point where there's no point in like grinding up your island level and getting those recurring trophies, because if someone can just get all these static trophy point notes and then just beat you anyway from that, that's something that would need to be balanced.
I guess, yeah. And also secondarily, more about weeklies. Is it necessary for it to be something random? Because if it is, then it becomes sort of the meta for top islands to accommodate for everything. Like I heard people say things like, make it a random like grinder type thing, like grind X mob. That just turns into we have 2 double chests of every spawner ever, right? Like that's what my island would do. I could tell you that right now.
I mean, it's always going to be at a point where if one island just has more resources and is more well set up than others, they're of course going to have an advantage because they've got those resources. With the weekly trophy challenges as they are right now, we remove the ability to like stockpile specific items and then just turn all those items in whenever they were called upon to be a trophy challenge. So now you actually have to manually put in the labor depending on what item it is selected. So that was
Yeah.
like our first step in like these weekly trophy challenges. But again, like the main point of having this whole trophy conversation is seeing like if there's a better solution in place of trophy challenges or weekly trophy challenges that could be implemented, and kind of seeing what other like exploring what other options we could do, because of course trophy challenges, the weekly ones, are always going to be flawed in some ways.
Yeah, no, like I know this is like a Q&A, not a suggestion, but like why can't it just be the highest thing that your island can do, Like let's say you're at Piglins right now, then just make it okay, you get 1 million skill contributions for Piglins, then that is your highest challenge. Or you get 1 million skill contribution for skeletons. If you're a low level, then that's your highest challenge, right? Like weekly challenge. Rather than having it be the same for everyone when really everybody isn't at the same level or progression stage, right?
It would have to scale based off of what skillable it is that that player unlocks. And then you run into the issue of, hey, my island just hit level 17. So we just hit and unlocked ghasts. And now it expects us to kill 1 million ghasts, even though we have 14 spawners.
Obviously, ghast should be a lower number than pigmen or places or something like that.
But ghast was just an example. Like it could be any sort of island like that where you just hit the island, you just hit the new island level, and you aren't equipped to farm that specific skillable because you just hit that level. You haven't started farming it yet, and you haven't gotten enough from adventures. Because another thing going into next map we're going to be doing is looking at and auditing all the adventure loot tables, which in turn means that like the amount of like resource items and whatnot are going to be like more balanced and like not given out as many. Like if there's too many being dropped right now, which is what we have the stats for, which we're going to be looking at, then you're not going to be getting as many next map as you were this map. So it's going to reduce the amount of like if you just hit island level 15, you already have
Mm-hmm.
32 stacks of like carrots or something,
Yeah.
like making it so you like slowing down the progression in terms of slowing down the items you get as well as something that could potentially be added with the loot table tweaks we're going to be doing.
Yeah. All right. So, in general, I guess my issue would be like with the randomness of weekly challenges, it sort of forces people to account for everything. Is my entire issue, you know, like, and we will account for everything, like, sort of like our job to optimize getting trophies, right? So we will end up accounting for everything. And you know, I know you
And-
guys don't like the stockpiles and stuff, but that's what ends up happening. You know?
I mean, the stockpiles of like tens of thousands of items to turn in, that's where it was like really like almost like drawing line. That's not fun to just move back and
way
forth and
more
turn
than
in
tens of
items. But if
thousands.
it's like a case of who has the most zombie pigman spawners, then they have to place all those pigman spawners and then manually grind it after they place it. Like at that point, it's down to who has the better infrastructure, who is like the quickest to like grind it and whatnot. But it just really depends on who has the most resources at that point, who can farm the most, and who is most well equipped. Which, if you're not a top island, if you're not equipped to farm zombie pigman or skeletons or whatnot at that time, then that's just like that's the trophy challenge. It's a challenge.
Yeah, no, I agree. I agree that it should be harder. I don't think it should be low level stuff, anyways.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Alrighty.
Also, please let Seabass speak. He was interrupted in the middle, like when you guys called him.
We'll see.
Yeah, that's it. Bye.
What do we think, chat? Do we want to let Seabass up? No. No, let him in. Where even is he on here? I can't see him.
He's right there. He's the QT Seabass.
Oh, thanks. Oh, there we go. You're hidden. Okay. You've been invited. Yes, you were AFK, so you get
Yo.
one question.
Okay, I think that you guys like towards the end of every map, like especially last map, you guys like start to like really like get it together with like PvP because like all I do is PvP. But like damage like last map at the very end of the map was like starting to be like really good. And then going into this map, you guys make all these changes where it's like all the gear that you can get is like minus incoming. There's like no more plus outgoing. The fairy like gear is really like shit now. Like you guys like did all those changes just to like go into this map and just like make PvP like terrible. And now like towards the end of the map, now it's like starting to get better. Like chain PvP is really good, iron PvP is really good. But I'm just like I'm really scared that it's gonna happen again next map where like you guys are gonna make more PvP changes, like adventure changes, and then you guys are gonna do all that work this map just for it to like be the same thing going into next map.
So you're
You know what I
saying
mean?
this map was bad because of the new sets we added and like the
Yes,
almost like the
because
shuffle of attributes?
all the boss gear that you can get is minus incoming. Like there's no plus outgoing other than fairy, and you can only get like plus 2% outgoing. So like everyone has like minus 4% incoming on all of their gear pieces instead of having any outgoing. Whereas last map everyone had outgoing, so the damage was just like much better
Well, why did everyone have outgoing?
because people wanted to deal damage.
And because it was a fairy set, right?
Yes.
So yeah, so that was the main issue with last map. The only valuable set for PvP was the fairy set. If you didn't have a PvP fairy set, then you weren't winning a fight. Which is why we introduced these different armor sets this time around to like make people want to have to like choose in between like different sets, like pick and choose which attributes you want to have, like min-max speed, min-max outgoing or incoming damage. And I see what you're saying in terms of like, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but the issue is in your eyes that there's too many decreased incoming damage attribute armor sets. There's only one increased outgoing damage armor set.
Yes, and I also think that like the boss gear, it shouldn't only be able to roll minus incoming if that's what you want. Like if you want to where people have to like pick and choose what attributes, like you should be able to get like either -4 or like +4 outgoing on your sets. Like because the problem that you have is like when right now the meta is like you tried changing it so not everyone's in fairy. Right now only people are rocking dwarf or like the minus incoming boss pieces. Like that's all people are wearing. So there's no plus outgoing anymore and everyone's in minus incoming. So like all the damage is just really like bad. kind
Okay,
of.
yeah. I will say, like, this is part of like our new stats that we got that would show us like what is negating damage, what is dealing more damage, and like going into map 3 now that we have these stats is something that we're going to be looking at, and especially like seeing that there's only the one set which has the increased outgoing damage is definitely something of concern. I like the idea, like you're saying, like if like a boss like Ijiki Shadow had like almost like 2 versions of the set, where one was like the dodge chance and the increased damage, and one's the dodge chance and the decreased damage. It's like you have like
That
a
would be
50%
great.
chance.
Also, another thing that I want to add on that is like, so like iron damage and chain damage are pretty decent. Like chain damage is good, iron damage is like pretty decent, and then diamond is like, I mean, like I can just not die. Like when I'm wearing like a max set, like I just will not die. Like if there's 4 people critting me out. So what you could do is like for like diamond gear, like you can make like fairy diamond pieces give more plus outgoing than like a fairy iron piece would have. Same for like boss gear. Like you need to add more damage to diamond because every map it's kind of like this where diamond is just like you don't really die in diamond PvP.
Is the issue that we need to add more damage to diamond, or we need to reduce the damage like reductions of diamond?
Either one of those would work.
Because I'm assuming when you're in diamond, you have your full god set, max enchants, max minus 5% incoming damage plus whichever mask it is, armored or assassin. I think armored, that makes you take in less damage. I think 8% now.
Yeah. Well,
You're building your diamond sets to maximize
yeah.
reducing the damage you take, and then you're just not dying as a result of it.
Yeah, that works. Because I don't think damage should be the same for all adventures. Like there should be like a difference. Like you should take more damage in chain than diamond, but the difference is just so big that you guys should try and like reduce it a little bit. Because like in chain, like God set PvP, I mean, unless you have full P5, like you take a lot of damage. But like in diamond God set PvP, like I'm taking like neg 2s, maybe like a neg 4 every once in a while, but that's it.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, definitely, like, we've got the stats this map. It is, like, something that we're going to be looking at. Of course, we're focusing on some, like, the major gameplay updates first, such as, like, Island Trophies, IS Top, and Adventures, like, the main 3 key things that we're, like, starting on, like, they're finalized, basically, to a point, or, like, they're just about to be finalized and, like, starting on development this week, and going into the final remaining weeks leading up into map number 3 is when we'll be looking at more of these, like, while the dev is working on these main changes, we're going to still be looking at what other balance tweaks we need to make to PvP, to economy, to loot tables, whatnot. So we've got
Yeah.
plenty of time still, and definitely something that we I've got noted down here and we will take a look at because we definitely have the stats for this now, which is not something we had before. I'll get this man some water.
Cool. And this has been mentioned, but like I think like this is like the biggest thing that killed this map is like you just said that you're working on the economy and stuff, but like flash sales and loot box, like dude, like you guys had a good thing going, but like just like the fact that one small mistake like that can like ruin the entire map is like there needs to be some like way that the community can give feedback on because like once the loot box is out, it's out, and like everyone just buys it, and you can't go back after that. So like before like a loot box or flash sale with like some busted item comes out, like level 100 dyers like day 1 or something, like yeah.
That's
friend
where I
Tater
come
Mater
in.
here is for. Yeah.
Awesome.
Round of applause, Tater.
Awesome.
Yep. So we're gonna be looking at loot tables. We're gonna be looking at progression as far as from start of the world crates to each week as far as things that are gonna be coming out. Definitely, if there's a flash sale idea, we're gonna look at whether or not it's gonna be beneficial to the community or not. So we're not gonna have we're going to hopefully not have any kind of similar issues that happen this map. There's a lot of data that we're able to utilize to really help kind of with the decisions. So we're going to definitely be cutting back on some things. And I'm hopeful that like there's a lot of different things that we're going to be doing as far as loot table wise. Like it's not just going to be protecting the eco from getting ruined in the first couple weeks, but I know I've seen a lot of conversations about like PvP, for example, as well, making certain things a little bit more common so that sets are a little bit easier to make, so that you guys can actually like full on test certain things and not spend 7 to 10 days to make one set, and then next thing you know you lose it and then boom, you're done. Like you don't feel like making another one. So there's going to be different aspects that we look at, different types of loot tables that we look at, to definitely make it much better of an eco. So
Cool.
Yeah. Alrighty, thank you for wrapping up, QT. Alrighty, so yeah, so that main portion there, of course, I did cut off the hand requests a bit early because, of course, that did take quite a long time. But the main point of that segment was to get, of course, the feedback on the island trophies that we talked about. I've got a good list of notes here, and I'm going to be bringing all of these to the team, and from there we're going to discuss it and see what the next steps are going from here. I can't say for sure if there's going to be another poll or not, but I definitely want to keep you guys updated in terms of what's going to happen with these trophies before like a final decision is made, because I want to keep you guys in the loop. I don't want to make a decision without you guys being able to give input on it. So definitely keep an eye out for that. In case you missed it at the very beginning, because I don't know how many of you joined late. This Friday is going to be a post detailing what to expect for the remainder of this map, what to expect for map number 3, and what the downtime will look like going into map number 3. More of like a schedule and hopefully more information to just what to expect, and as much information as we can give you guys, because I'd like to be as transparent and giving you guys information as to what is going to be leading up to happening in map number 3, because of course that changes if some people want to play or not, if we're hyping it up and actually saying what we're planning on changing, and of course getting that feedback on what we're changing before it's actually implemented, and hopefully even getting to a point where you guys can get your hands on some of the stuff that we're testing before, or some of the stuff that we're releasing before map number 3. So map does not end this Friday, Fire. No, I'm just the main post will be this Friday, which kind of details what the rest of this map looks like, which doesn't necessarily mean that the next Friday is going to be reset or closure, but it's going to detail what to expect for the rest of this map. So yeah, so I guess at this point, we have been going for about an hour and a half. I do want to see if there's anyone else who hasn't had the chance to ask a question yet. If I open up the queue for a few people to raise their hands, we can get a few more in before we've got a dip. But just please keep in mind, if you've already had the chance to ask a question, mainly just trying to let anyone who hasn't had the chance to yet be able to hop up here. So go ahead and open up the requests. And we'll start with Mr. Epic. Oh, Epic.
Hello.
Not Mr. Epic. Hello.
So my main thing, as I've been listening to this Q&A and just thinking about the last month, I would say, I know there's a lot of people in a similar boat that just haven't been super motivated to play this last map. And I think for me and for a lot of the people who I played with map 1, and many of us put in dozens and dozens of hours into the game, the main thing is just as a community, we're getting a little older now. We have more IRL responsibilities. We can't necessarily sit on the game all day, every day. So I like a lot of the changes that are coming, but at the same time, it feels like everything is just super, super grindy. And one of the only ways that our team was able to play and compete in the first season is because there were opportunities to automate things, and there were opportunities to sort of gain an advantage, or at least keep pace by being strategic and by being able to log on for a couple hours a day, do the things that you find fun, and then still keeping pace. But I feel like this season especially, and I feel like some of the changes that were discussed today are leading into a very grindy economy and grindy competition, where it's just whoever puts in the most hours wins. Which I understand that aspect, but I guess my overall point is I wish there were more ways, and I'm curious if there's anything you have planned to sort of make the game. I don't want to say make the game fun, but I want to be able to log on for a couple hours a day, do things that I enjoy, and still feel like I'm making progress through the game, and I don't have to sit on skeletons for 8 hours or fish for 8 hours to unlock the next thing. I'm not saying that you shouldn't that you should be able to win without grinding and without putting in the extra effort, because obviously if you win, you should be the people that try the hardest. But that was one of the main drawbacks and reasons that a lot of people didn't play this season, I think, is because it felt like progression was so dependent on just like how many players can you recruit to sit all day on a mob or farm a crop.
Yep. So for the island skills going into next map, like we do have plans. Then we're being like a lot more intentional with them, so that it's like you pick and choose like what you're trying to progress. So it is going to be a case of like if you're specifically logging on and you want to like earn island EXP for your island, or if you want to earn money for your island, like you'll like specialize in trying to like focus on specific skills in that sort of sense, which should at least make it more intentional, like what you're trying to grind and what your island can be like mainly focused on. But as for having the game not be quite as grindy, like of course there's always going to be a grinding aspect to the game. If you want to progress your island and get more resources, you are going to have to go to adventures at the end of the day or scavenger to get those items. So there's always going to be an aspect of grinding to it. As for this map and it just being based off of how many players you could recruit, of course we all have seen the suggestions and comments about the whole Slayer meta, which is something we're looking into and we will be tweaking for map number 3, as well hitting crops. I kind of want to ask a little bit more like what was like the main like issue with hitting crops now, because of course we added like the new custom enchants and whatnot, and like the new like almost like farming mechanics of like every level up your hoe gets like an extra crop break, and then we increase the crop breaks of the crops. Like how would you say farming feels like you right now? I'd say.
Yeah, so I personally, and this is just like my own perspective, I know people enjoy different things in the game, and like it's great for those people who like farming and enjoy just sitting there. But like for me, I would say the top 3 things that I enjoy doing on the server are like adventure, realms, and then maybe like automation. Um, for me, I would say manual grinding falls like near the bottom of the list. But I understand that's not the same for everyone. But I guess my point is, I felt like what was really good about map 1 is I could log on and go into adventure. I could log on and do my realms, or work on automation, and I felt like that was a really impactful part of the game. And like as much as one of one of the other members could log on and slay or log on and farm, I felt like I was able to make a good impact doing the things that I enjoyed. And I feel like that's what was kind of lacking. Maybe I'm wrong about this, but that was my impression of the meta this season, was that like if you are not an island grinder, your role was a lot less valuable than it should be.
I think there was definitely a lot more emphasis on islands this map because of how quickly islands were progressing. Because of course there was no cap, so you were getting to these super high island levels, which was pushing islands to be like going all speed ahead, so that you could be like in those top islands who are reaching those top islands as quick top levels as quickly as they could, which kind of made more hands be on deck for islands. Which in terms like if you were an adventure grinder, but your island needs people because you're so close to like you have so much momentum.
No, but Epic makes a good point. The balances weren't appropriately like
yeah.
the numbers weren't appropriately balanced. So sorry, my dyslexia, but like there's like totally a true and real approach to that sentiment. Like it was just like totally busted to sit there and just slay mobs, or like versus everything else. Like you just couldn't compete otherwise. That is a huge focus. Like we want every aspect of the island progression to have its unique impact. So Slayer having a unique impact on player XP and being able to make sets and make sets easier, which is a huge thing for us. We want, like, it's way too hard to get top tier sets right now. Farming to be a major aspect in another focus point, fishing another focus point, mining another focus point, so that it isn't this like what's just best in slot to progress my island, because then everything else kind of falls behind that fact. So like automation all of a sudden becomes like no longer valuable because you just need to like brute force one specific thing to progress. Yeah. I'm eating popcorn.
And I would
Sorry.
say like I think that's a really good change. And I would say like one of the things that gets me most excited when playing a game is if I can find a sort of underused or underappreciated way of grinding that has its own unique benefit if you really like hone in on that one thing and specialize. So as you're saying, like let's say the fishing treasure gets audited, or like artifacts, I guess they're
Yeah.
called. And that becomes like a viable, if you want to grind up a level 100 rod and a full treasure set and max
Yep.
out on that, and that's like an actual viable way.
Yeah,
give
so
value.
for an example, like I'll take Slayer as an example, and just I'll be transparent here. And again, I can do that, so don't yell at admins if they can't be transparent. I can do it. When it comes to Slayer specifically, like that definitely was just like, even though we tried to nerf it this map, we're gonna take a much more aggressive nerf to it next map. Something along the lines of 60 to 90% nerf on the island XP it gives you. Like honestly, like straight up. Obviously next map, don't worry, not this map. And alongside that, adding some sort of a mechanism into that requires you to be at your computer to do something to then buff the actual benefit that you get from that, which is player XP. And so maybe it's I don't want to say like an event, like don't think like capture or whatever, but like Epic, like what you're saying, if you spec inappropriately to Slayer and you have a Slayer set and a Slayer sword and all the correct things, like you're going to be able to grind this thing more effectively than someone that isn't. And it might not just give you island XP again, because that's just, again, going to be like that. Everyone's going to do that best in slot thing, but it's going to give you something unique because you've grinded for it. That's the idea. But what you're not going to be getting is you're going to be getting like 10% of the island XP that you would have. So you can't just get to island level 18 by having, 18 alts grinding. Yeah, with something on your spacebar.
Yeah. And I think the last thing I would comment on, and this is going back to the improved like island trophy system that you guys were talking about. I think it's really good to have more manual ways to grind, and I think it's cool to have like for the next however much amount of time, this is the best way to get trophies. And so it's like, yeah, if I really enjoy doing adventure, and the next thing is, for the next couple hours it's adventure for getting trophies, that's gonna really incentivize me to lock in and go grind adventure. But I do think a comment that was made earlier is really important, which is like if you're, and then I think this was seen with a lot of the weekly challenges this map, with things like the cobblestone, things like the log resource fragments. If these things are going to be kind of essential for top islands to win, there's not really any choice. It's not like, oh, this is a really annoying one I don't want to do. It's like, however annoying this challenge is, I have to do it because if I don't, it's a guaranteed loss. So I think it is important just from the aspect of like making the server fun at the end of the day, is for these things that are essentially like required for islands to compete. They should be things that are fundamentally enjoyable to do, and not just the most boring task you can possibly think of.
Now the tasks might be boring. I can't, subjectively. Like I like playing chess. Some people might find that awfully boring. However, the tasks should represent the current meta in some capacity. So
yeah, no, that's what I meant. That's
Cool.
boring wasn't exactly the best word, but yeah, like cobblestone and logs map like week 3 into the map are just completely irrelevant for everything except
Well-
needing to do them for the trophies.
Well, so that's. I mean, I wouldn't really say that that's a problem with the trophy system. I would say that's a problem with the gameplay. We don't really want any dead content. So the fact that cobblestone nodes and wood nodes become completely useless at some part of the map is probably like a design flaw more than anything. So it'd be better to actually make it so that these nodes, and we've definitely discussed it. Like, there's just so much that I actually think that this particular change has probably gotten lost in map 3 development and ideas. But going back to some ideas that we had originally talked about doing and slotting it at some point was to give log nodes some sort of a new farming mechanism that would help you farm via like trees, or at least like tree drops and sapling drops, because there's like a lot of unique, different, cool types of logs that actually are in Minecraft by default. So there's like a lot of really sweet things there. So it's a little bit, I do agree though, it's a little bit of like cope of being like, yeah, log nodes and cobblestone, people should have this on their islands, but like there's literally zero value for them after hour 1, and then we're just like making you grind them for no reason. It's like kind of lame. But if we can give some sort of value to them, maybe they're using like high-end custom recipes, maybe they're used to make some sort of fuel or some sort of machinery or whatever that helps you like actually produce something on your island that's helpful, then that would be like best case scenario.
Yeah, and I guess the last thing I would say on that topic, I'll wrap up because I know other people want to go.
Yeah, damn, dude, chill.
But I think one of the changes that was really like whiff on this past update for me was the upgradable, like tierable custom recipes. I don't know if other people agree with that or not.
Oh, dude, they're busted. They were so good. What do you mean? Why'd they whiff?
Because a lot of them, so like I was just grinding diamond for a few days
Mhm.
with the Halloween update. A lot of the recipes, even though I understand the goal is to like keep them relevant in the eco and make it so it's not just after every island unlocks the recipe they get trash. A lot of the recipes, and maybe that's an issue with the recipes themselves, but like everything that I picked up and I checked the value on AH was not even worth picking up and holding an inventory slot. I know there are some recipes like crispy flesh, I believe, is really good. I think mashed soup at one point was really valuable. But a lot of the recipes, and again, this might be an issue with the recipes themselves and not
Sure.
the tier system.
Yeah.
But a lot of them were
Well,
still
let's
just
be honest. There was an
worthless.
overshadowing of one particular recipe that will be getting nerfed. No, without a doubt. And like, do I even need to say it? I think it accounted for like 80% or 90% of the economy that was made on a day-to-day basis. We were tracking that. We've got it. There's kind of that weird with those sorts of things. Like I think it was caught a little bit too late to make adjustments because people have already invested so much into it, and I think we did a little bit too many. We've done too many, especially this map, like knee-jerk reaction responses to things that were busted or overpowered, i.e., like the bots that were obviously dropping like incredibly rare and then making them drop like too rare, as well as like gems. We were dropping like way too many of them to like immediately dropping almost none of them. So we decided to kind of just let that meta kind of exist, but it's definitely something that was on the page. Like that shit was busted.
Cool. Yeah. So last thing I'll close with, make the server fun and I will play. It doesn't really matter like competitive wise. If the server's fun, I will play. And I think that should be a top priority. It's just fun.
Cool. We'd love to have you. All right. Bye.
Hashtag nerf bog loaf. Alrighty, well, I'm gonna be closing the queue of hands real quick because we do have to get to an end here in a bit, but we've got a few more players who are in the queue.
I know.
So...
Sorry, I'm late. Sorry, I'm late.
Hell. Alright, so next up is Hockey Guys. Welcome back.
Hello. So this isn't necessarily relevant to particularly trophies, but have you guys considered doing something like a reversed scaling, like for island progression? So say it's like 3 weeks into the map. If you're just joining, like you're not catching up, right? Like say the farther you get into the map, it takes less and less XP to reach the same level, right? Have you guys ever considered doing something like that?
No.
Is that something you would consider? Because I think it would promote new players playing as opposed to just like say you're not there on the first day or the first week.
I think it would take a lot of the good content out for new players if you did something like that.
Join an island.
Yeah, like if you
No, yeah, I get it.
if you want to make a chain set, but you only have to be in adventure 1 for like 3 hours before you hit the next adventure tier. Like, there's just a lot of different like issues that come up with like trying to like scale up too quickly for new players if it's like that late in the map. And some people don't want to be scaled. Some people just join late and they just want to experience the game as they would like if they joined day 1.
Yeah.
But map scaling is something we're really interested in. And really, like, this is the best server to do it for because there's one map at a time. And then we have this nice, lovely downtime where we can rebalance things. So you're not necessarily wrong. I don't think we would do something as direct as that. But there's this idea of the game gets easier and crazier as things go on. So with that being the case, hopefully in some capacity when you join, it'll be like there's just so much, you know, in like the auction house, and there's like so many ways to make money, and there's so many things you can sell to people, and people have a lot of money, so they're willing to spend more for it. You know, like if I'm a new player and I go into adventure or scavenger and I do get kind of lucky and I get something, like someone's not going to spend 8K on it like it's day 1, they're going to spend 800K on it. And then imagine being an island 1 and getting 800K. You're just like, holy shit. Like I can literally buy all the bots, all the nodes, everything I need to progress really fast. Cool. Thank you. Guys, this popcorn is amazing. What popcorn is that?
Pop.
No, it's the Orville.
Alright, next up is
Orville
Fire.
Smart Pop. Guys, get it. It's good. It's good. It's healthy.
Need to add the hashtag ad. Sponsored.
Wait, don't quote me on that. Hold on. It's healthy.
Oh, hello.
But I'm gonna get sued now.
Hello, Fire.
Hello. I basically wanted to speak about, because I've played like every map of Sky, and I think through the seasons, a lot of good features have been added but missed when the new seasons have come out or when there's been a big break, and it's basically changed again. So I'd just like to mention if any of these are coming back or are scheduled to come back even. So the
Okay,
first
which
one
one?
is obviously everyone remembers Emerald, E-Man, Coke, and such, where you had to get like a certain amount of every mob or every node or every fish to get the end goal. Do you have an idea of that coming back?
I have no idea what that is.
It's like the End Island skills, Enderman.
Oh, the End
Oblivion.
Island.
Yeah, End Islands was
skills
also
are
a
new.
great feature because I feel like for islands, if you're going to keep it like this, where there's only 20 levels, you need that for islands level 18 through 20.
We're not.
It's basically late game content is what you're saying, but that specifically, yeah, it's not on the books to be re-added.
All right, so we're not. Well, we're
Um,
not keeping only 20 levels. I don't think. But sorry. What was it? We had a reason why we didn't want to do End Island. I'm trying to think about it. We talked about it. I think we thought it was a really good idea, but that it was a little bit of an unnecessary.
I quite like grinding the gold blocks to get the end portal frames.
Yeah,
that brought gold another use as well.
And then the small size of it too, like you had to navigate like a really small location, was pretty
I
cool.
think that made it better though.
No, that's what I'm saying. It was a positive thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think the game right now has enough content for endgame to be implemented, but it's definitely on like the admin side and even on my side, like it was definitely a good feature that was, I think so. I mean, for me, I liked it. I don't know. I can't speak for Apple and everyone else, but
I mean, it definitely was like a game changing. Like it was like the end game. Like if you didn't
Yeah.
maximize your End Island to be entirely like AFK cocoa bean farms, and you wouldn't win the season, and whatnot. Like there was definitely certain metas that did come from End Islands. And yeah, of course they changed in terms of like how late in the season they unlocked and what levels came after End Islands. But just the whole aspect of having those last few skills, such as like
you know what? You know where that idea came from? I think I remember we were talking about it. We wanted to figure out some way to do like a prestige mechanic for Sky, and we were like, well, there's no way we can delete people's islands mid map. Like they'll actually fucking quit like instantly. Like there's no way. And then I think we're like, well, why don't we just give them access to a new? That's my chair, by the way, not farting. Why don't we give them access to like a new? I think I remember that. So I think that as an idea is really cool. I don't remember enough about the End Islands. Like I don't think when I played I ever got an End Island, to be honest. I don't think I ever got there, so I'd have to look more into it. But I think some. Anyways, what next? Plug.
I also had that there used to be player skills, like where, for example, you could go into realms if you wanted to, and then every day you consecutively did the realms, you got more points or you got more time. Made it more rewarding to actually do your realms every day. Because at the minute, it feels like you do it for the first week or two, and then you just stop doing it because there's so many realm items in the economy anyway. Whereas if I was getting more points or had more time, it feels like I'd still be doing them.
Yeah, I think Realms is pretty low on the prio. And I would say that some player progression will be coming. I don't know what you've talked about when it comes to adventure, but like we're definitely implementing some progression to adventures in map 3. So not sure how that would tie into Realms, but
I mean, I don't really do realms that much anyways. I just thought it was like a good reason
cool.
to get more people to do them, so the gear is cheaper for everyone.
Yeah, but like the whole aspect of like player roles, players like I think it was player roles, which is what led to like
Yeah,
those
I like that
buffs.
you could go into farming, or like you could choose adventure or island or PvP.
And like yeah, it was like the player levels, which gave you like player role tokens or player role points, which you then purchase like the specific buffs where you set the stage of like what your player was like set to do. Like some were adventurers, some were farmers, and that was definitely a unique system. But I'd say like that's like not on the priority for map number 3. We've got like I mean, I definitely see it as something we might look into for the future because I definitely like that system a lot. Of course, it had its ups and downs. Like, of course, crafting millions of gear to get your 5/5 chain or diamond pieces was, of course, interesting for some people. But I definitely would like to see that system come back one day. But for map number 3, we've got other things we're working.
Yeah, because you just mentioned again about the player level system. Was there
Mhm.
any idea about that changing from it? Because like you used to have to spend money, and then obviously you'd get your kit loot box, and that give you a shit ton of money in return. Sorry, a lot of money in return. Could you change that to if you earn a certain amount of island XP, you could level up instead, possibly?
I mean, when that update eventually, if that update eventually comes into play and we look at like trying to revitalize that, then we'll look at it then. But as of right now, it's not something that's on the plate
Yeah.
that we're looking
Next
into.
question.
Next question. The farming at the minute is a bit underwhelming for manual, only because all of the enchants are great, but it feels like you have to sell hands often that it's just completely demoralizing to do because your
Yeah.
inventory fills. But
Do
unless
not
you
have-
allow patches or collect.
Yeah, do you not have a collection chest?
Yeah, but the thing is, your collection chests will fill up so quick. With the size you need farms to be this season, because it's about something like 10,000 seeds for an infinite rotation. And if you're getting 8 crops per seed, they just fill up ridiculously quick. And if you wanted sell bots, for example, you'd need about 12 sell bots for one person.
I think with some of the
Yeah,
changes we're
you
doing,
can't use sell macros, XE.
with some of the changes we're doing to just island skills in general for map number 3, I think it's gonna solve this problem. Yeah, with one of the changes we are going to be doing, I think it's going to be solving this problem. But I do understand like the whole aspect of inventories being filled up, whether it's because you're slaying and you're killing like 20 mobs a kill, you're getting so much rotten flesh, or there's too many like drops from farming. Like I definitely have seen the reports of your inventory filling up very quickly, but those are I think both slaying and farming should be addressed for map number 3 in ways you wouldn't expect.
Yeah, and then the last one, I think you've already mentioned this in the past, just about increasing the levels, just because it feels more rewarding. Because at the minute you go 3 weeks into the map, and then all of a sudden it's like 5 to a weeks worth of time just to hit one level. Whereas before you'd log on and maybe get a level every 2 days. It felt more rewarding because you'd unlock a new thing as well, and you'd actually be able to experiment with it.
Yes.
But,
Yes.
Cool. Nice.
Yeah.
If you do
Oh.
still keep the challenges in, you'd actually be able to use every IO skill as well, because with the amount of levels versus how many skills there are.
Yes.
Cool. Thank you.
Someone asked Apple, where do player skill tokens drop from? And I'm looking. Where are they dropping from right now?
Run this command.
Sorry?
I can run this command, and they drop from. Let's see, they drop from treasures. They drop from all the adventures. More treasures. And scavenger as well.
Oh, I think I'm looking at the wrong table. Hold on. Wait, no.
I mean, are you in game?
No, I'm looking at like how many have actually dropped. I'm trying to find.
Actually dropped.
Yeah, you know what I'm looking at. But
yeah. Magical numbers of Numberland.
Oh, yeah. So many have dropped. What the hell? Abandoned ruin. Okay. Yeah.
That would have been throughout the entire map you're looking at.
Yeah, but still a good amount. That's just ruins, wasteland, demonic. Yeah. Okay. Well.
Yeah, that's a lot that's dropped.
Yeah.
Like that.
I was just sorry. Someone asked. I wanted to look into it. Drop rates look fine. Carry on. Next one.
Yeah. All right, we got 4 more left. Mr. Jar, welcome up.
Yeah, you guys kind of touched on this subject with the last person. Is there going to be more kind of Slayer, different types of Slayer to do, kind of like how at the beginning of this map you added a ton more fish? Are there going to be more Slayers? Because I know right now, you're really killing pig zombies, really from the level you unlock them to the end game. I know. Blazes are the next tier up, but people don't find them as efficient as pig zombies.
Yeah, why is that? Hold on, did we ever figure that out? Because like,
I think it has something to do with the hitbox.
Yeah,
it makes it slower to kill.
That the blazes
Um,
sword, they're saying?
yeah, people still do pig zombies over blazes because it gives roughly the same amount or more to do pig zombies.
I don't fully recall looking into this, or if I did, I don't fully recall what
I
the
think
results
I
were,
think I
but
put it in one of those chats there. You know that? Hold on.
yeah, I did see that. Yeah, in terms of like the
Yeah.
things that were
Blazes
dropping.
bounce. I think I think we were gonna look into it. I figured it was literally just the fact that they are annoying to farm, but then also we said that the drop rates for blazes were low based on the timeline of it, so that just the sheer amount of spawners that people had of pig zombies by the time. Oh my god, I'm out of breath. Blazes became unlocked and obtainable. It was just like almost, yeah. It, like not only
Yeah.
are they annoying to kill, but like you just couldn't get the correct amount of blazes.
Yeah. And I mean, I'm not a developer, so I don't know if I'm right here, but like I feel like adding some more tiers of Slayer wouldn't be like a super long process to implement or code. I think
It's
probably
not
balancing would
development.
take the
It's
longest.
yeah, it's the balance that's really tricky.
Yeah.
But I think like I mentioned earlier, we're definitely looking into Slayer to give it a bit more of an oomph because it's just a linear AFK fest right now.
Yeah.
It's also kind of like a self-exponential system because you're getting the shards. And so you only, yeah, and it's all you need to level up. It's just, I don't know if map 3 will necessarily feature more mobs to slay.
Mm-hmm.
I think there's some that we could low-key get rid of though. Like I think cows could go because they're so hard to one hit. Like my thought is that people want to one hit mobs, and I think all mobs should be one hittable. And being able to like, you have to use strength potions to one hit cows is just kind of lame.
Yeah.
No, it's okay. We'll have baby cows, guys. It's fine. Maybe just not big cows.
Baked potatoes.
Wait, you guys want milk buckets? Everyone in the chat saying they want milk buckets. Milk buckets are the best. Everyone's saying, "Oh my god, no way." Okay, keep cows. But yeah, I think like that's the vibe. You know, like make it.
Yeah.
Slayer should be fun, but it also shouldn't be something that you do. Like we've been adding this mechanic. I'm not gonna say who came up with it, but they're in this call because I feel like they're gonna get in trouble by the community. But it wasn't me. Maybe it was. I am in this call. Just the overall idea of exhaustion is a big one. And
Dual wielded.
Why, dude? Why, Jarv? That's not true.
Sorry.
Among Us. Okay, maybe. But yeah, dude, Duel just got fucking outed. The idea of exhaustion.
Listen, okay?
Yeah. Yeah.
Listening.
No proof.
Yeah, okay, there you go. Guys so shit at Among Us. Oh my god. Imagine. It was Duel. Yeah, listen, okay. Takes 8 seconds. So yeah, I think exhaustion though, I think it's a bad word because it feels like no one wants to be exhausted, but that's kind of a really cool mechanic that I do really enjoy if it's done well. Because we did this on Prisons, hi Tater, but you probably remember this call on the Prisons, like when designing stuff. It was like the idea was that people can grind really fast, but then there's like a diminishing return to grinding. And I think that was one of the best changes to Prisons, where it was like you didn't actually need to mine like 10 hours a day. You could mine for like an hour and get the same amount out of it. And then if you really wanted to go above and beyond, you could, but there was like a massive diminishing return from that. And then instead you can actually go do other things. And what happened was when we like opened up the doors for people to do other things, they started to do other things, and then we gave them other things to do. That's literally when like Bandits came out, and then Midas came out, and like Bloody Mary came out, and PB came out, because we were like, oh my god, we have like so much time for players to do shit. Like we can actually just like do shit, you know?
Yeah.
So totally. I don't know if that answers your question, but you know.
No, that was helpful though. And you kind of touched on like spawner shards. Is it going to be kind of like next map where like you either can't get spawner shards for so like what happened is that people would kill skeletons and they would get zombie pigment shards before Diamond Map was unlocked. Is there going to be kind of like a way you either don't get the
Hell
shards or
no.
you're not able to place the spawners before that map's unlocked?
No, that was busted. That was stupid.
That was one of those
I
things. where
agree.
That was a
that one-
mistake. That was
Yeah.
a mistake.
Yes.
Do you
Okay.
understand? You hear me?
Yes. Yes, I hear. I hear.
That was a mistake. And it's like it's everyone in this I take responsibility for it. It was my mistake. I was a mistake. I should have audited that stuff. I did not. I was too busy eating popcorn. My bad.
Well, popcorn's an
I mean, it was
understandable
Duel's fault.
excuse.
Yeah, sorry, that was smart. Magical. It
Yeah,
was
dual
Duel's
wielded is the one that
Duel.
oversighted it.
He messed it all up. You guys can add him in the general chat and say why you do that.
Damn. Okay. Oh, because I'm bad at Among Us.
Yeah, shit Among Us. Okay. Cool.
Last thing, I know I'm kind of late to the adventure topic, but is something kind of like a suggestion, is kind of something along the lines of scavenger. So, but not like scavenger level based system, so it doesn't burn out the map or people get all the top tier items like right away. Like, is there like could there be like a system where like the more chests you open, you know, you level up your level and it gives you a chance to get better loot. And then once you get to the higher levels, that's actually where you start getting a lot of the better loot. See, it's not like day one people have a million diamond nodes. It's actually something that people have to grind up to get to kind of prolong the grind of the current like tier of adventure.
That's a terrible idea.
I'm so sorry.
We definitely won't be doing anything remotely close to that in map 3.
Oh.
Wink, wink, wink. You know?
Oh.
Wink, wink.
Oh, okay, okay. Damn, I thought you were being rude as hell for a second. Oh my god.
Imagine.
Oh my god. I was like in the audience of 80 people, like I'm never showing my face again on the server.
No, that's
You
sick.
got my heart skipped some beats, but you know, I seem like I'm yeah, I seem like I might be onto something if you guys are looking for, you know, like creative team members, you know. I think, you know, my brain, you know, just like might have just clicked, you know?
Okay, now you're pushing too hard.
Yeah, I am. Sorry, Dual Wielder told me to say that.
Okay, exactly. I bet he did. Oh man. Okay, cool, man. Good questions.
Thank you.
All right, well that's all I have for now. So
Yeah.
thank you guys.
We'll chat later.
Alrighty, we got 3 more. Mr. Emote. Welcome.
I have some questions about Adventure and Dead Zone. First of all, Lost Maps admin items or like admin tools, the 2x sword, God Pick, and God Rod. Do they exist, or is it just in loot tables to lure us to do something?
No, the admin toolbox does exist in the demonic realm.
I haven't seen
Demonic
anyone pull it.
Let's see.
It's not the toolbox, it's the tools. There's the some quantum saber, the scythe or whatever.
Yeah, but I guess they pull from a loot box called the admin toolbox, so that's why.
Yeah, whatever.
Wait,
because
Apple.
I haven't seen them at all.
Oh wait, no, that's loud. Okay, hold on a second. Let's check live all together. You're so fucking right. Awkward.
So it's not in loot tables.
I don't think so. Let's add it. Why is it not?
Well, the admin toolbox, you're saying?
Am I correct? Okay, can you fact check that real quick? I can fact check. I don't think I only see the only time it dropped I see is you giving it to yourself.
I literally just gave one to myself now.
Wish I could do that.
No,
It
no,
exists. The only place it drops right now, it has like I think a really low chance from slot bots and also a low chance from Adventure 3 Mythic Loot. And those are the only
Okay.
spots that drops right now, but
Does
it
it?
is in, it is in the Dark Portal, I guess, Demonic Realm Mythic Loot right now, yes.
Next map, please buff that.
Yeah.
I would love to see it back in the eco because it's literally been non-existent this map. I haven't seen it pulled. I haven't seen it in chat.
Well, why don't we buff it? Why don't we buff it today? Regardless, I know the map is
sure.
nearing the
I
end,
think
but in the
I
thought,
won't
Emo,
complain.
yeah, Emo, in the thought process of nothing should be, unless Apple, there's a good reason why it's not dropping. Even I know it's at that rare. Is there something so busted about it? Is there?
The issue is it's with it being the Mythic Loot. Of course, we have this one sort of like fix or update to Mythic Loot, which we are
Right.
looking at implementing ideally in the next few days, which should make there be more Mythic Loot dropping in adventures. That's all I can really say for now. But other than that, it's just down to the rarity of Mythic Loot. And with the amount of items in Mythic Loot, like from the X number of Mythic Loot, I actually saw this, it's a number, but the X amount of Mythic Loot that has dropped in the past 7 days or throughout the entire map in Demonic Realm, there just hasn't been rolled yet because there just hasn't been enough that's been pulled, like Mythic Loot in general.
All right.
So
one
think
other
the first-
thing, Get Muncher said something really good. Please remove the demonic maps from heroics. I think I've gotten 5 heroic or demonic
Let me
maps in a
look.
row. It hurts.
Emo, let me look. Relax. Let me look. I'm gonna pull it up. Hold on. Okay. What's dropping too often? Demonic maps.
from heroic, and yes.
Let me look. Okay. Sorry, I ate this whole bowl of popcorn. Now I'm fucking jazzed. Hold on a second. Blah 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 blah. Where the hell is it? Demonic Realm. This is heroic loot. Okay. What is this? What do you want dropping?
Demonic Realm.
It doesn't.
I have a full map. It doesn't.
No. Yes, it does.
Since
I'm
when?
lying.
Yeah,
I'm lying to
I
you.
was
I'm lying.
about to say.
Found it. I found it. Hold on. Relax. Okay. I don't think it's like dropping too much. Hold on. Let me just. I mean, I would say diamond ore nodes are dropping too much, but
I haven't seen them since
Diamond ore
like
nodes.
second day of demonic.
you
I
are
haven't seen
just
them.
getting unlucky, my dude. Yes, I know. Diamond ore nodes have value. Yeah. Okay. Let me just. Okay. Give me a
Diamond
second.
ore nodes drop 3 items, which is why it shows us a lot more.
Oh, true.
So divide that number by 3. That's how many have actually dropped.
Damn. Okay. He might be honest with me. Hold on.
Yeah. Same for Obsidian, but
Okay. Let me look at this. Wait, what happened? Like this one. Damn. Like. Yeah. I mean, who was the homie that was here right before? That we liked his
Jarv.
idea. Jarv. I can't. Mr. Incredible. Yeah. This. I mean, like, it is really crazy. Even if you divide that by 3, it's still a lot. But man, that's a lot of diamond ore nodes within the first hour. I don't. Let me just go. 1 sec. Bear with me. I hope you don't mind I'm doing this live. 1 second. Because why not? We're here. So if I look at like a little instance of loot drops, let me know if this is crazy, Emo. Okay, let me know if this is okay to you. Like, because this is what you might just be unlucky. So what I see is there's an instance here where in the heroic loot, 8 slot bots dropped, 6 diamond ore nodes, but I guess divide by 3. Cosmic coin notes, farming recipes, 2 farming recipes, 2 demonic realm adventure maps.
Is this in one chest or like in
No.
in one adventure trip?
I'm just taking one instance. So just one pairing of data. Okay, one pairing of data.
Okay.
So what I'm seeing right here is plus like the map does definitely spawn a lot but what else would you want to see instead of that? If you got a demonic map, what would you want to see instead?
Honestly, something with like value of 3 to 5 million. Like demonic maps, they're fine. Like the first 1 to maybe 2 weeks after demonic releases, but now when they don't even sell at 100k, like it just hurts to. It's not as annoying now, but go through the process of killing the elites,
Yeah.
getting the chest, like spending some time on it, and you're better off like doing a normal chest.
Yeah, you're unlucky. I would say that looking at the numbers here, you probably have a 20% chance to get a map. Just based on even less, by the way. Even less.
Okay, then I just have shit luck.
I do think you have shit luck, but I don't disagree with you, and I think this goes back to what Jar was saying of like map scaling and loot changing over time, and definitely something we're interested in. I just wanted to like
I agree with that.
you're not necessarily wrong. I think I see was this recently, by the way, that you got a lot of demonic maps?
Reasonable.
Like recently.
Recently,
Like in the last 5 days.
I did one yesterday, and then I just couldn't be asked to go back in. So
Okay,
I
because
don't
I see some poor motherfucker that got 5 demonic realm maps in one sesh, which yikes. That's really unlucky, but that's an outlier. Yeah.
I have some more things to ask about.
Okay, yeah. Sorry, I took up a lot of time there. Go for it.
One is Dead Zone. This is actually not my question. It's my friend's. Let me pull it up. Custom Dead Zone recipes have kind of like become useless now because of recipe scaling. Like we've noticed with, let me pull up the recipes. The one I've focused mostly on is Never Torment. It's not really that good. My alliance have spent like a lot of time in Dead Zone, and the drops aren't common, and they're not as good as they should be.
Yep. I understand. That makes sense.
So either like buff the drop rates.
Yep.
Or make it better.
No, I think the idea with the custom recipes was that you could apply and we could drop way more of them. That might not have been accurately applied to Dead Zone appropriately. I feel like there's just a lot of balancing. Apple, did we ever really up the spawn rates of Dead Zone custom recipes to reflect the multiple application?
They were increased, but not to reflect the multiple application, and some recipes just weren't added. Like there was the one Emberworts, which was missed because that was originally in.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I was the first guy to drop that.
Yeah,
like that hurts.
Yeah, I guess the main thing about Dead Zone is, of course, like it's like the end game one, and with one like there's 2 islands in there. They're gonna just stockpile on so many recipes because it's not as like a diverse and like large area such as Demonic Realm, where there's like thousands of items being generated every hour or something. Where like
well,
like 20 items.
we're not really stockpiling anything because we're barely getting rewarded like in the recipe it's in the recipe part of it. You get decent stuff, but it's if you take away the exclusivity of Never Wards, whatever, it's barely better than KO than Demonic.
Yeah, and it's kind of a skill issue if people aren't in there.
Yeah, but also like most people aren't going to spend 250 mil going into Dead Zone to get dropped by a 30-man alliance.
Yeah, but skill issue.
I mean, if more people were actually on that level and like competing for Dead Zone resources, then it definitely would be like a different economy for Dead Zone. But of course, that's just not where this map turned out to be. I think for Dead Zone recipes, just like overall drop chance in the Dead Zone needs to be increased and will be for map number 3. And then just like looking at the recipes themselves, like Nether Wart or Nether Torment level 1, that how does that compare to level like 6 or 7 of like Glowtorch? You know, like at that point, is it even that much of a better recipe to do?
Yeah,
is the sort of thing
exactly.
that we need to look at, and we will be auditing for map number 3.
Yeah.
Because all the custom recipe numbers are not in the best place. Because of course there's some outliers which we can clearly see, which are hot topic ones, which are like really crafted, and then there's others that are just not crafted. So, of course,
Apple, have we ever done a poll of like, do you like to PvP on Sky, or do you not like to, or do you like, or you don't like to PvP on Sky? I don't think we've ever done a poll like that, have we?
I think you'll get two different answers to that. Some
Well,
people like
that's
some people
kind of
like
the
the
idea of the
PvP.
poll.
Yeah, you know, so some people like to PvP.
Yeah.
Because they like the idea of PvPing. But like, I'm in a PvP alliance, so when we find someone in chaotic like once every 3 to 4 days. The second we tell people PvP in chaotic, we get 7 to 10 people in call immediately. Like, I think the question is more like there's not enough people.
Well, I don't know if there's
So
not enough people. It's just the question of the loot to get to a PvP state is completely dominated and doesn't drop efficiently enough for a lot of people. And so it's hard to compete when the disparity between loot is so big between PvP alliances and not. And so there's no ways for people to actually compete or even want to try and compete, because then even if they do compete, the loot's not good enough for them to want to compete. And then they got to deal with you guys spamming L in chat and get flopped and shit, and that's just like that hurts
that ain't
people's
me.
ego. Yeah. Apple, pull the logs.
No, but like also it doesn't really like benefit you anything if you kill someone and they're not chaotic. Like
No, I think the
at
poll-
some point,
Yeah.
it's just being cruel.
I think the poll wouldn't be I PvP. It would be I like to PvP. Because I saw someone in chat going like, in this chat going like, there's no PvPers on Sky. Don't make content for them. But that's like, that's just like a misrepresentation
wrong.
of, yeah.
That's wrong.
I like polls because it shows people the like it shows people that like there's just a lot of people who aren't vocal in the Discord, but that hold an opinion that is different from themselves. Go out and vote in the poll on Cosmic. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Cool.
I have no idea how I missed the whole community of PvPers crying.
Yeah, PvP was good and worthwhile. You would have 4 to 5, 10 to 20 plus alliances PvPing. Yeah, probably. PvP's but okay. Emo, that's enough.
All right. That's all for me.
Yeah,
And
thank you.
Rob,
Appreciate it. Yeah.
Rob, please tone down the talk. People have been complaining.
Please tone down the what?
The talk. It's more Rob having a talk session than a Q&A. Please, for the next few questions, try and keep it to the questions. Do you want some quotes?
No, it's okay. You can go. Thanks though.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. That's all. All right.
Yeah.
Peace.
He doesn't want to hear about my popcorn. That hurts my feelings.
They ask a question, we give an answer. Done. Okay. Next up, we got Complex World. Hello.
Hello. So on the topic of PvP, I think I think you said you're gonna make sets easier to make, right?
Yes.
Yep.
Yes, because right now, like, not many people are wanting to risk their sets just for minor things. But if they were
Yeah.
easier to make, like, it would solve, I think, a lot of the PvP problems.
Yes.
Yeah,
And,
I think I mentioned this earlier about the sets because there's been a couple of threads that have been made since I've come on board, and I've asked people to tag me in them. And one of the biggest concerns when it comes to the PV side of things, as far as loot, is the ability to actually make sets. So yes, the goal is to try to make sets easier to make. That way, there's not this quote unquote gear fear that you're speaking of.
Yep, and recycler bots, because the amount of times I've gotten a recycler bot or its upgrade, and it's like tier 3, it's like RNG drop, but it just doesn't, it's worthless. It doesn't go for anything. Like, are you keeping it? Are you removing it? Are you changing it?
Yeah.
It's like we've seen the suggestion post on it. It's on our list of notes. I wouldn't say it's a huge priority for map number 3, but we've definitely seen the feedback on it, and I agree it's not in a good, useful state as it is right now, compared to back in the day where you could reuse you craft a whole bunch of gear for 5/5, you don't get any. You recycle the materials, boom, you can craft more gear. That was like the original intention for it, and then removing the 5/5.
Yeah, what's it being used for right now? Like who's using
Nothing. It's actually
like
being used for
wait,
nothing.
Apple, do we have the stat on like how many we have that, don't we? How many recycler bots are placed down? Can't we just look at that live? Oh, sorry. Should I not look at stats live on the Q&A? Because we want answers only, right? Okay. Yeah, I guess so. I'll stop. Yeah, we won't look at that. Never mind. Fucking hell. Next.
Yeah, let's see, for the Halloween event, I dropped 2 tier 3 recycler bot upgrades in a row from Pumpkins, so if that was minor, I would be happy, but no. And what are your thoughts about the scaling of loot and adventures? So, like, let's say for the first week in Diamond Adventure after it unlocks, there's like the drop chances are this and that, and the second week, the rarer items gets buffed, the more common items gets like a bit of a nerf.
Oh, I have the stats on recycle bots being placed. I'm not going to say it though. It might shock you, but I'm not going to say it. Okay.
Okay, yeah. For
You want me to take this question?
Sure, yeah.
So as far as like tiering up loot chances, it's not the easiest thing to do as far as like having like a progressive loot table that gets better over time. It is something that we can look into, but the idea is to make the loot tables good from the get-go, where the grinding feels rewarding even throughout the several days to weeks that you guys are going to be grinding in that adventure. Now, obviously, Diamond's a little bit different because it's the last adventure until you get to any sort of end game type stuff. So I do understand potentially having a different loot table to update to, which would reward even more. But that's something we would have to look into because, again, having like it's not easily just to change some numbers and whatnot. Like you have to actually have like a different loot table that you're ready to swap out with it. So it would, if we were to do something like that, that's how we would do it. So not saying that it's not going to happen, but we'll look into it.
Okay, because the drop chances on compared to like uncommon and elite sockets. I mean, I get they're the lower tier, but compared to elite and uncommon sockets to legendary and rare sockets is just crazy. I get what 5 sockets of uncommon elite every run.
I mean, everybody tell me if I'm wrong, but I've had conversations with players over the past couple of days who've said that the socket eco this map was amazing. So
I don't like it, to be honest, personally.
Wait, what don't you like about it?
I just think sockets are now, it's not only being used for PvP gear, it's being used for farming armor, grinding swords. Like I think you just need more in the economy.
Yeah, but
Okay.
we increase the drop chance of sockets massively. They're just at really low percentages.
Yeah, but the thing is, I haven't seen a legendary socket. I don't think Is there even a 5% legendary socket, or like 10%, 15%? Because I've only seen 25% in last adventure, and I've probably only gotten to in a lot of hours of grinding.
I mean, again, we can look at the statistics and the data as far as like for the different types. Like, so if you're saying legendary sockets are the issue, or
Yeah, 'cause
from what
rare
some people are
sockets
saying,
aren't
like
that
higher
different.
percentage sockets are the issue, like we can look into that. But again, I'm just going based off of I've had multiple different people say that they enjoyed the way that the socket eco was this map. So obviously there's going to be differences of opinions, which is why I'm glad to hear that some of you are saying that it's not the best, but it's all about like slowly making those changes, because if it is close to where it needs to be, there's just minor changes that we need to make. We don't want to accidentally push it too far to where it's like, oh, now there's too many sockets in the eco, they're worthless. So we'll definitely look into that though.
I think you would just need to add maybe like 10% sockets that are a bit more common in Diamond Adventure. Because when it was Iron and actually, I think Iron needs to have legendaries a lot more not a lot more, but a bit more legendary sockets also. because in Iron you're like kind of getting into like farming stuff on the island, and you kind of need legendary. I mean, you don't really because actually, oh yeah, you
Yeah,
do,
I think it's a
because
good
legendaries
point.
like a gear.
I think it's a good point. We can look at it. We made some big changes in map 2 to actually just dropping the sockets a lot more. Some people really like the change. Obviously, you have a difference in opinion. We can look at the stats and just see where it's landed and go
We'll
from
make
there.
adjustments where needed.
Yeah. The idea for map 2 was to drop sockets more. We dropped sockets more. People like that. Maybe we have to drop even more. Our idea is to make set creation easier, just like when you first joined. You mentioned that. We all said yes. We wouldn't say yes if that, we weren't going to do like a wide blanket of making things easier.
Yeah, because elite and uncommon sockets are just worthless right now.
No,
I
yeah,
think
yeah.
you need to nerf that. You
Yeah.
really need to nerf that. Yep.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. That's all.
By the way, 0 recycler bots in the last 7 days, and this entire map, I think, just over 100 were placed down on islands.
Yeah, I
67.
say you should just remove them from the game. They're useless.
Yeah.
Or like
So
add
we're-
a use to them, but again, like you said, that's a low priority for you.
Yeah, 100 and
Yeah.
150.
Like at that point, like
And I don't know, someone, I think it's actually less because it looks like someone placed 12 down and then a day later pick them back up.
well, this graph counts for that. I think if they take it, if they remove it, it counts as a negative number and removes.
I know, that's what I'm seeing. I'm seeing someone placed 12 and then like a day later removed 12 pretty much from their island. So I actually think the number is lower than, like, there's a lot of, the total is yeah, the total. I see what you're saying. Yeah. Yeah.
Like, you can have them placed, but the thing is, they're not getting used.
Yeah.
Oh, Stevie says that was me. We made a smile with them on the floor at. That's hilarious. Thanks, Complex. Appreciate the questions.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, thank you. And
Man, he was just yapping the whole. No, I'm kidding.
I know, right? You got to ban him from all Q and A's. Last one, Mr. Disbelief. You're welcome.
Sorry, Complex. I'm just bullying you because I was bullied. It's just how it works.
Hello.
What's up?
So I've just got more questions about like farming related because that's all I really do on Sky. So back with the slots, I forgot the sockets, right? So when Complex were going on about sockets, I think it's fine for adventurers because they can obviously pull their own sockets. But when you've got a farming set and you need to put like Lucky, XS, all that jazz, and especially GMO and Moneybreaker, there's no way for islanders to get sockets other than just ditching the island and going to adventure, if that makes sense. So is there like any plan to include anything or like for the island basically?
What would your suggestion be?
Either way to like, I guess drop them maybe like from the treasures from farming bundles or anything. As the bio guy said in chat, legendary or rare sockets just too expensive for farmers to buy them since the money from crops themselves, excluding like recipes and that, they're just a bit lacking when you've got like such a low respawn rate of the crops, if you will.
I don't think that's necessarily true. I think one of the best ways to make money this map was, correct me if I'm wrong, but a custom recipe farming.
Yeah, so well, obviously with MASH being a big issue, I mean stuff like when you're doing manual farming, you want to use all your like beetroots on auto harvesters to obviously get the AFK money. But when you're doing stuff like, for example, Torchflower, which was quite cheap during the map, to just like slash sell hand, it was barely making any money, and you needed about like 10,000 if you wanted an infinite rotation. So you'd farm for like 20 minutes and then wait 30-40 minutes for it all to respawn fully, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Hold on, you gave me an idea. I'm not gonna say it out loud, but I'm gonna write it down. Continue.
But yeah, is there like going to be a plan to maybe increase stuff like growth speed and oh my god, I just looked in the chat and saw the auto recycling. But like maybe like a plan to increase like stuff like growth speed and maybe you'd add a way for islanders to maybe get sockets as an alternative to adventure, something like that. Just due to like obviously more sockets needed for island stuff.
Maybe.
I mean, loot tables right now for islanders, I mean, are kind of limited compared to like adventures, which are the main
Yeah.
area where you do get the majority of your loot from. But any sort of way that we can add like ways like islanders, maybe if it's like through clue scrolls, through treasures, whatnot, like island-based things to drop those sorts of sockets from to like help build these sorts of sets. I think.
Yeah, I
Yeah, I
think
mean, if
clue
you guys
scrolls
have
definitely need
ideas,
to-
if you guys have ideas about it, like whether it be realms, clue scrolls, treasures, like I know somebody at Epic even mentioned like potentially pre-applied gear in some of the treasures and whatnot. That's like ideas like that are really going to help as far as like if you guys are wanting to see more of an opportunity for certain items like that, those kinds of ideas are helpful to let us know, because like obviously like you're not just going to be randomly farming your crops and then all of a sudden a socket pops out of your crop, because
Yeah,
that's not how it
yeah.
works. But
Maybe adding it to like clue scroll loot in that, because it feels a bit depressing spending like an hour trying to fish for clue scroll and then getting like 2 spiders spawner shards or something stupid like that.
I mean, it can definitely there's potential for it to be added
Yeah.
to clue scrolls for sure. I will say that like just for obvious purposes, like it's not going to be like common though. Like it's
Yeah.
going to be one of those things where you're going to have to grind out a bunch of clue scrolls if you're expecting to get sockets the same way that somebody would be able to go to adventure to get them. So, but yeah.
Another thing as well, just if you decide you want to keep recyclers, maybe make it so that you can recycle gear you get from adventure to take the socket off them. I don't know if that's an idea you'd be thinking of, or if you just want to get rid of the whole thing, because I know Complex will hate me for suggesting that, but
Yeah. Any other notes, Mr. Disbelief?
I just got Donald rolled on that.
Sorry, I was just replying to this message.
Yeah. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Just a quick one for the people who have missed this, like Q&A and all that. Will all this be added to an announcement or something like that?
Yes. So this whole Q&A, I've been recording it. We're gonna put it through some, like note taker app and make some sort of like Q&A recap almost, and post it in the changelog or the updates channel for players who weren't able to make it.
Yeah.
To be
Because
able
I missed
to
the first half an hour or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've also been recording. I'll upload it to YouTube, assuming it doesn't break. Being, how long has this been going?
Oof.
Little over 2.5 hours. Wow.
My recording is at 3 hours.
Damn.
Oof.
Yeah, and like what we've done with all the other Q&As, I think all the other Q&As, don't quote me on it, but putting it into the changelog with an action item and then checking them off when they're done. So if you actually go through the changelog, there should be a separate, I hate separate channels, but there could be a separate channel for that, because I feel like people miss it. I feel like people don't realize that that's actually there, and then we don't want to like re-ping. But if you go back in that channel and probably just like search poll or something, not poll, Q&A, there's action items, and then you could see the check marks when they're done. So I think we pick out like 4 or 5 things from every Q&A and then get to it right away. So you'll see that for this one. Cool. Thanks, Disbelief.
Yeah. See you.
Well, I believe that was all of our speakers for today, unless want to bring some more up, Rob?
Fuck no.
But
Oh,
I think we've got some other things
sorry.
we got to attend to. So.
Yeah, no, I've started answering other stuff. Cool. Thanks, everyone. Appreciate it.
Yeah, really productive. Got some good
Yes.
notes, and
Bye.
as I said earlier, keep an eye out on Friday for